It all kicks off with our MC taking a tumble down some stairs while something chases him relentlessly. Turning his head, he's shocked to see the creature that had been hunting him this whole time. Faced with the situation, the reflection in his eyes reveals a monstrous wolf, ready to pounce. Because of this, Seiki-kun reacts on instinct and lands a powerful kick right in the beast's gut. The impact sends the monster sprawling to the ground while the guy braces himself for whatever comes next. The creature, however, gets back up with even greater fury, its eyes glowing red. Right after that, the MC decides running is no longer an option and charges straight at the thing. This scene reminds him of an event that happened 10 years ago in Tokyo. That day, a massive portal appeared, unleashing various beasts carrying a mysterious virus. From then on, the virus spread, causing over 1 million casualties across the city. Even after that, smaller portals continued to pop up all over Japan, releasing more monsters. As a result, those without powers had to flee to try and survive the chaos. Seiki-kun remembers losing his parents and seeing his sister get infected, and all he could do was run. And even now, he finds himself in the same desperate situation, being hunted by one of those beasts. At the same time, a group of people shows up, cheering him on and yelling for him to hang in there. Our MC is Seiki Kaito, a 20-year-old 6th class purifier. In this crazy world, some people have a special immunity, like a guy with a flaming axe. These folks got powers after getting juiced up with some vaccines made from the creatures themselves. From that point on, this power became humanity's shield to protect themselves from these monsters. Faced with the situation, the guy panics when he sees the attack coming right for him and the wolf. The power not only defended but also served as a spear to purify the critters for good. With that, the creature hunting Seiki is completely disintegrated by a blast of red energy. The one responsible for the attack was Goto Retsuki, a very cocky 3rd-class purifier. He approaches the fallen monster and places a hand on it to analyze the contamination. His team comments that a contamination level of 20 is no big deal. One of the members calls out to Captain Goto, who seems very serious and focused on the mission. Shortly after, a young woman reports that all the monsters in the tunnel have been successfully eliminated. She also confirms that the portal has vanished and introduces herself as Mizuno Kaho, a 19-year-old purifier. Goto is satisfied and tells the team their work there is done and they can leave. He looks at Seiki and reveals they used him as bait and will need him again. With that, Seiki-kun is left with a look of pure rage, realizing he was just used as disposable bait. Right after the mission, the guy heads straight to a hospital for his routine checkup. Inside, the MC waits alone on a bench as a nurse walks by. On his phone, he sees he received 50,000 yen from the Purifier Association for the mission. Mizuno sits down next to him, and our MC seems pretty worried about the girl. She tells him her test results came back negative and that the rest of the team is clean too. Hearing that, Seiki-kun comments that he finds these post-mission inspections a real pain in the neck. The girl gets furious and scolds him, asking if he even understands his own condition. The thing is, our MC suffers from a rare immunodeficiency syndrome. Because of this, he has zero immunity to the virus those creatures carry. This means he can't take the vaccine, and a simple scratch from a monster would be fatal. And it's because of this weakness that to the monsters, he's a feast and the perfect bait for missions. Mizuno says he's too nice and that Captain Goto and the others are just having fun at his expense. Faced with the situation, the guy tells her to drop the subject in a very serious tone. Meanwhile, a nurse tells a family that everything is fine and that peace has returned. Seiki-kun tries to act tough, saying if he can't be bait, he doesn't deserve to be a purifier. He then apologizes to Mizuno for making her worry with a smile on his face. The girl gets all flustered but says his performance will be recognized one day. With that, she puts her hand on his arm and promises to protect him until that day comes. From that point on, Mizuno turns beet red with embarrassment, with steam practically coming out of her ears. All clumsy, she says she's going to buy a drink and dashes off. Watching her go, the MC thinks about how a younger girl just promised to protect him. Right after, he gets serious, thinking he can't let Mio see him in such a pathetic state. At that moment, a girl with purple hair appears, lying in his lap, leaving him in shock. The boy asks when she arrived there, and the girl replies that it was at that exact moment. This is Seiki Mayo, his younger sister, who's teasing him about having a woman around. Our MC gets flustered and thinks that Mizuno was pretty stacked, while Mayo stares him down. The girl then changes the subject and asks if he's done with his purifier work. He confirms he is and says with a smile that he took care of all the monsters in the area. Mayo grins from ear to ear and says proudly that's what she expects from her big brother. Suddenly Mayo starts coughing violently and the MC rushes to her side. Even in pain, she says she's fine and that having a hero for a brother makes her very proud. Seiki-kun's gaze fills with a dark determination to save his sister, no matter the cost. With that, he hugs her tightly and promises he'll find a cure, asking her to just hold on. The girl, with tears in her eyes, asks him not to push himself so hard for her. Leaving the room, our MC says goodbye to Mayo and the nurse, who wave back at him. As he walks down the hall, the device on his wrist suddenly starts beeping. The device shows an alert, and he realizes another tunnel has just appeared. And to everyone's surprise, the portal pops up right in front of the hospital where the team was. Because of this, civilians and even Mizuno are terrified by the sudden appearance. Gota considers it lucky that the team is already gathered to face the new threat. From there, a wolf-like monster begins to emerge from the blazing red portal. One of the guys on the team asks if it's the same one as before, but Gota says no, it's different. This time, two creatures appear, one of them much larger and with multiple red eyes. Seeing the new enemies, Gota cracks a huge grin and gets ready for a fight. All hyped up, he says these things look like they'll be more of a challenge and charges in with the team. The smaller creature lets out a scream of pain as it's hit head on by the group's attacks. Without wasting any time, Gota uses his flaming axe to deliver a powerful blow to the monster. The impact of the attack hits the beast's neck squarely, sending it flying violently to the side. His teammates celebrate the victory, shouting that Captain Gota is incredible, as always. But as he looks at his weapon, the captain notices something very strange about his blade. He notes that the axe's blade is worn down and is confused by the situation. Suddenly, one of the beasts lunges at one of his teammates, who doesn't even have time to react. The monster attacks the guy without mercy with its razor-sharp red claws. One of his colleagues screams in desperation that the creature's neck wasn't cut by the blow. From there, the rest of the team gets wiped out in seconds by the monstrous wolf's claws. One of the purifiers cries for help as he's attacked, but it's already too late for him. His teammate panics and yells that the guy's a goner and there's nothing they can do. Seeing the scene, Gota is completely shocked and wonders what the heck is going on. He finally understands that his attack didn't work, and the wolves are still standing, ready to attack. Faced with the situation, Gota wonders if his special immunity just vanished. One of his teammates points at the monster and yells that the captain's power has been neutralized. From there, the wolves stand still around the body of the purifier who fell in combat. Suddenly, the fallen guy's body starts to glow with a sinister purple energy. With that, Gota and the other two survivors are completely terrified by the scene. The purifier who is down starts getting up in a really bizarre and creepy way. His face transforms into that of a hideous creature with red eyes and sharp teeth. Right after, the thing lets out a horrifying scream and lunges at its former colleagues. Gota goes into a full-blown panic and screams in pure fear, not knowing what to do. Because of this, he attacks with his axe, telling the creature to stay far away from him. The blow causes a massive explosion of purple energy that sends the monster flying. His colleagues ask what's happening, but Gota yells that he has no idea. Normally, when someone is attacked by a monster, they're either eaten alive on the spot, or the person gets infected and turns to ash. But this time was something totally different. Before them, their former comrade gets up again, looking even stronger than before. The situation turns into a total beatdown, with the team getting completely overwhelmed. Gota's eyes widen as he watches his teammates become easy prey. In the face of despair, he cracks a bizarre smile, completely out of his mind. He turns around and yells that our MC's job is to be the bait, and nothing more. Our MC is left completely confused, wondering what he's talking about. The guy can't even believe what he just heard from his captain. He turns his head in a panic, realizing he's been left behind. Without a second thought, Gota and the other guy flee, screaming they didn't know about this. Right after, panic spreads, and everyone runs desperately through the hospital. Seiki-kun looks back and realizes the captain is pushing him towards his end. Without a shred of pity, Gota throws our MC to the ground to use him as a sacrifice. As a result, the guy runs desperately, trying to save his own skin. The next scene is one of pure terror, with the creatures attacking everyone in the hallway. In shock, he sees a human attacking another person without any mercy. Because of this, he ends up cornered by a horde of monsters and infected humans. With that, the hospital turns into pandemonium, with everyone running to try and escape. Our MC stumbles and falls to the ground as the crowd tramples over him. In his eyes, we see the pure terror of someone who knows their time is up. Suddenly, he remembers that Mio is in her room and the monsters are heading that way. This thought ignites a flame of fury and determination inside the guy. And so, he gets up and yells to draw the attention of all the monsters to himself. The tactic works, and the creatures immediately turn towards their new target. From there, he starts running in the opposite direction, away from his sister's room. In his desperate escape, the kid ends up slamming right into a door. With no way out, he grabs a crutch from the floor and prepares for combat. Right after, he uses the crutch to attack the approaching infected. The blow lands squarely on one of the monster's legs, which drops to the floor instantly. Even so, the entire horde advances at once, surrounding our MC. After the attack, he somehow remains standing, facing the threat. At that moment, a red energy explodes from him as a shadowy figure stares him down. A sinister mouth appears in the darkness, showing that something evil is watching everything. Our MC notices a movement and turns his head instantly. He sees a couple running desperately, trying to escape the chaos. But one of the infected manages to catch the woman and prepares to attack. Without hesitation, our MC leaps and lands a punch right in the middle of the thing's face. With that, he yells for the girl to run as fast as she can. The woman obeys and flees while the guy stays behind to hold off the threat. At that moment, he feels a terrible pain and realizes he's at his limit. Because of this, the entire horde advances, and one of the monsters bites his leg. He is then completely overwhelmed by the infected, who attack him relentlessly. He screams in pure agony, feeling the pain course through his entire body. Shown from above, the guy is in the middle of a sea of creatures ready to devour him. His mind takes him back to his parents' funeral, a moment of pure sadness. He also remembers when he was used as bait to attract the creatures. The memory of Mio makes him think that he can't go down now and needs to fight. He swears he'll cure Mio's illness no matter what it takes, and an energy glows on his arm. Next, screams echo through the hallway as the horde continues its relentless attack. The device on his wrist glows intensely with a very bright red light. From there, a bizarre energy explodes, creating a gigantic portal behind him. Our MC looks at the device and is shocked by what he's seeing. The meter shows a contamination level of 10,290. The guy is speechless at that absurd number that simply makes no sense. Right after, a mysterious female figure steps out of the portal, holding a staff. The shadow raises her weapon and prepares to launch a devastating attack. Our MC lifts his head and watches the scene, not understanding a thing. Faced with the situation, a wave of red energy is released with immense power. With that, the guy squeezes his eyes shut, preparing for the worst. The energy explodes violently, hitting everything around him. All the monsters are annihilated in an instant, with only pieces left behind. Despite everything, our MC is still alive and seems pretty confused about it. The dust settles, and our MC is lying in the middle of all the destruction. The mysterious figure says she's never been interested in humans, but she's found a real feast. With that, a sinister smile forms on the woman's face as she watches him from afar. She says it'd be a waste to let the guy meet his end there like that. Her revealing outfit and her staff make it clear she's not from this world. From there, she points at the guy and stares at him with a very serious look. The woman reveals herself and asks our MC to become her host. Suddenly, one of the wolves that survived lunges to attack the fallen guy. The demoness seems very annoyed by the interruption and makes a gesture with her hand. The monster ignores everything and continues its attack on our defenseless MC. In his eye, the reflection of despair shows just how close he is to the end. And so, the creature is impaled by several red spikes that appear out of nowhere. The woman asks if some pathetic weakling is trying to steal her prey. Her eyes glow intensely as she pronounces a sentence of doom. Faced with this, the monster is completely annihilated by a shower of spikes. The demoness makes a gesture with her hand and releases a wave of pink energy. The attack goes straight for the head of the last monster that was still standing. With that, the creature is completely impaled and disintegrated by the magic. Our MC's jaw drops, unable to believe what he just saw. The girl then turns and extends her hand towards the rest of the monsters. Right after, an explosion of pink energy sweeps through the entire hallway. All the creatures are sucked into a vortex of red blades. The things are shredded to pieces, showing the girl's immense power. From there, the floor is covered only by the remains of the monsters. Seiki-kun remains on the floor, completely paralyzed by the scene. The woman floats and comments on the power she just used. She says this isn't the best place for them to have a conversation. Suddenly, a dark energy begins to flow from the MC's back. The energy flows towards the demoness, who absorbs it with a smile. Our MC grinds his teeth, feeling something strange happening to him. The demoness approaches and licks our MC's face, who is completely terrified. With that, she suggests they talk in a more private place with a mischievous smile. And then, the girl reveals that her real plan is to infect him with her dark power. Faced with the situation, the guy's eyes go wide, not understanding anything that's going on. And so, a dark energy surrounds him and transports him to the top of the hospital. Suddenly, a strange mark begins to form on our MC's chest. He looks at his own hands, completely shocked by the transformation in his body. The demoness's head floats and announces that the infection is complete, and the guy screams in fear. The creature then introduces herself as Marasha and says he can call her Tia. Because of this, our MC panics and asks if he's going to bite the dust because of this. Tia calms him down, saying she wouldn't let such a good meal perish, and asks what a carrier is. She explains that he was infected by weak carriers but that he's fine now. The demoness reveals that because she is a superior being, she is controlling the virus inside him. Our MC's eye reflects the shock and hope that come with this revelation. From there, he grabs Tia desperately and begs her to please save his sister. He explains that his sister was infected 5 years ago and has been in the hospital ever since. On his knees, our MC laments the situation of his only family. Faced with this, the creature asks with a serious look what the guy's name is. He answers with a trembling voice that his name is Seiki Kato as he stares at her. The demoness, however, says that his wish cannot come true, leaving him in shock. She explains that her roots have spread throughout his body, and now the two of them are one. In pure desperation, the MC yells for her to take his sister in his place. Tia replies that she won't coexist with anyone else, and that he would perish if she left him. Our MC can't believe what he just heard and goes into a full-blown panic. The girl hugs him from behind and says that the answer to his request is a definitive no. She even reveals that she's going to devour him little by little, so she doesn't end the fun too quickly. When asked what she wants, the demoness replies with a smile that she's going to eat him. And so, she says she doesn't eat much and that it won't interfere with his daily life. With a smile, she says the taste goes bad if the host is stressed. Right after, the creature yells at him not to make her repeat the same things again. Elsewhere, Goda is on the phone, yelling that the case was irregular and he won't accept being demoted. His colleagues are surprised to learn that he's being demoted because of the incident. Meanwhile, some soldiers comment that the demotion is fair since nearly 30 people were lost. The purifiers wonder what the explosion was that made part of the building disappear. With a hateful look, Goda grabs the two and asks if Seiki-kun has contacted them. Terrified, one of them lies, saying the guy told them he was going to rest a bit before meeting up. Goda cracks a sinister smile because he knows full well that's a big fat lie. He blames our MC for attracting the monsters and says he must take responsibility. From there, his anger only grows as he clenches his fist with all his might. He asks if the two of them agree, and the pair trembles in fear, not knowing what to say. With his eyes bulging with rage, Goda swears he won't forgive that sixth-class piece of trash. Walking through the hospital, he sees Mio and some nurses passing through the hallway and gets confused. The girl has a mark on her face and Goda recognizes her as our MC's sister. Faced with the situation, he cracks a hideous smile and licks his lips with pure malice. The scene then cuts to an empty stairwell, indicating he has an evil plan in mind. Tia floats behind Seiki-kun and asks where he's going in such a hurry. The guy replies that he needs to confirm if Mio is safe and that's the priority right now. The demoness stares at him with a look of pure boredom and disinterest in his concern, and so, he turns around annoyed and asks what her problem is anyway. He explains that his parents were taken out by monsters, and he refuses to live with one. The girl says it wasn't her, and that he's taking his anger out on the wrong person. Our MC yells furiously that she's the same kind, and that changes absolutely nothing. With a mischievous smile, Tia says the situation could be a great deal for him. The boy is curious and doesn't understand what the creature is trying to say. She refers to the infected who attacked him before and calls him food, in a very cold way. The demoness explains that the virus increases their strength but makes them attack until they destroy themselves. Our MC is shocked by the revelation and finds the whole thing just awful. Tia gets closer and whispers in his ear, saying that his case is completely special. She promises that he will remain himself, but with the strength of an infected monster. With a smile full of sharp teeth, the girl says he'll gain even more power. Tia says the stronger their connection, the more power he'll be able to draw. With that, a red energy begins to flow through our MC's body, leaving him in shock. Suddenly, he lets out a scream, feeling the power course through every part of his being. The energy manifests violently, looking almost like blood gushing from his body. Right after, the guy is hit squarely by energy spikes that send him flying backward. The demoness explains that the stronger their connection, the more power he'll be able to use. She tempts him, saying she'll give him the power he so desires to take out the virus carriers. Our MC can't believe it and wonders if he can really take out the carriers. The creature watches him intently, waiting for an answer as he processes everything. Because of this, a wave of dark energy explodes from his body without any control. At that moment, he hears a noise and turns his head, startled, to see what it is. From the top of the stairs, Goda and his men find him and call out to him with a mocking tone. Goda approaches and asks with a fake smile what he's doing there all alone. The guy with a halo says he just wanted to say goodbye to him after all the chaos. With a terrifying smile, Goda says he can't cover for him anymore, and the guy senses the danger. Our MC yells, asking if they plan to pin the blame on him for everything. With a malicious grin, Goda says they're just making good use of a useless burden like him. The guy gets furious and yells that there's no way he's going along with something like that. Faced with the refusal, Goda's expression hardens, and he glares at the kid with pure hatred. And so, the villain threatens him, saying then he'll have to ask his sister. Hearing Mio's name, our MC freezes, completely paralyzed with fear. The goons mock him, saying Goda scared the girl and she must be crying now. That comment is the last straw, and our MC takes a step forward in anger. One of the guys tries to stop him, but Seiki-kun, with a dark look, tells him to get out of the way. The goon gets annoyed and yells, asking who the heck the guy thinks he is to talk like that. Before he can finish the sentence, the kid lands a devastating punch right in the middle of his face. The impact is so strong that the guy is sent flying backward with absurd violence. The result of the punch is a completely disfigured face, and the floor cracked by the force. With that, the goon falls to the floor unconscious while his colleagues watch the scene in shock. The other two are terrified and wonder what the heck that absurd power was. With a clenched fist, he warns that he's only going to say it one more time. His eyes glow red as he yells for them to get out of his way. Goto and the other guys stand frozen, watching the guy with a mask covering his face. Without wasting time, he lunges forward and lands a powerful punch on Goto's other goon. The blow knocks Goto to the ground hard while the last goon tries to flee. The force of the attack was so great that it left Goto completely knocked out on the floor. The last guy grabs him from behind and curses him furiously for attacking his comrades. Our MC simply grabs the guy's head with his monstrous hand. With a terrifying smile and glowing eyes, he shows he's not messing around. From there, he slams the guy's head into the ground with immense and violent force. After defeating the three of them, the guy runs desperately down the hospital corridor. He reaches the room's door and yells Mayo's name, completely desperate. Upon entering, however, he realizes the room is empty and the girl isn't there. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket starts to ring, breaking the silence of the place. The guy picks up the device and wonders who would be calling him at a time like this. On the screen, Mizuno's name flashes, and he wonders what she wants now. He answers the call, and on the other end, the girl screams his name in pure desperation. She tries to warn him that Captain Goto has his sister, but the guy yells at her to stay out of it. Mizuno manages to say they're in the parking lot, and tells him to call the police before the line cuts out. Our MC looks out the window and repeats the location, already knowing exactly where to go. The scene shifts to the parking lot, where Goto is holding Mayo while Mizuno tries to stop him. She yells at him, saying this is kidnapping and that he's completely lost his mind. Nearby, Mio is on the ground, completely defenseless and at the villain's mercy. Goto gets furious with the interference and yells for the purifier to shut up once and for all. Right after, he lands a solid punch on the girl's face, sending her flying into a car. With the impact, Mizuno falls to the ground, with no strength left to fight the captain. In a threatening tone, the villain warns her never to dare defy him like that again. From there, he picks up Mio and throws her over his shoulder, walking towards his car. Without any gentleness, Goto tosses the unconscious girl into the back seat of the vehicle. He reveals his plan to take Mio to the headquarters to force Seiki, Kun to come after her. With a malicious grin, Goto says that way he can pin the blame on Seiki, Kun for everything. Suddenly, a voice asks what comes next, and our MC jumps from the hospital building. He shatters the window and plummets towards the villain's car down below. Looking up, Goto is completely shocked to see the figure falling towards him. With eyes glowing red, the guy smashes through the car's roof and attacks the captain. Goto goes into a full-blown panic, not understanding where all that absurd and sudden power came from. And so, our MC shatters the rest of the glass with a punch full of dark energy. From there, he lands a devastating blow right in the middle of the villain's face without any mercy. Right after, he pulls him out of the car as Goto screams in pure desperation. A powerful punch is delivered, showcasing the immense strength the boy has acquired. From a distance, T.I. observes the scene and comments that his physical ability surpasses that of a human. With his arm glowing, our MC shows that he is exactly as she expected from her infected. The demoness makes a cute and smug face, showing she's very proud of her host. Inside the car, the guy looks at Mayo, who remains unconscious and completely vulnerable. With a look of pure determination, he prepares to ensure his sister's safety. Next to the car, Mizuno is down and injured, unable to get up after the attack. Suddenly, the villain mutters and curses our MC with pure hatred in his eyes. Goto gets up and faces the guy, saying that a piece of trash like him shouldn't dare defy him. Our MC, however, notices something strange about his former captain's face. The villain's face is all bloody, and he seems to be transforming into a monster. Tia appears and warns that the guy has been infected and is about to turn into a carrier. She notices the bite marks on his arm and confirms that he was attacked earlier. Faced with the situation, Goto rips off his mask and yells that he's going to finish the guy off once and for all. With that, a piece of his mask falls to the ground, shattering into several pieces. His eyes glow red, and he attacks with his flaming axe with all his might. Our MC manages to dodge the blow, which grazes past him by a hair's breadth. The villain gets even more furious and yells for the kid to stop running and fight for real. Without a second thought, he attacks again with a blow even more powerful than the last. The guy is shocked to realize his former captain is really trying to end him. And so, he blocks the attack and yells that Goto himself said he was going to take him out. With his monstrous hand, he stops the axe's blade, which glows with an intense energy. Our MC is shocked by his own strength and wonders if he did something so wrong. Inside the car, Mio remains unconscious as he questions if he deserved to have his sister involved. Faced with the situation, Goda cracks a bizarre and toothy grin, showing his madness. He says he doesn't care about grudges and that he's not doing this for revenge. The villain reveals that tormenting the girl and taking the guy out is just to blow off some steam. In a mocking tone, he says the MC should have seen his sister's face. In a flashback, he tells Mio that her brother's job puts him close to his end every day. The villain continues to taunt, saying that even so, she praises him because he never complains. From there, he blames her for everything, saying the guy's efforts are because of her. The girl is completely terrified at being called a useless, medicine-guzzling burden. Hearing all that, our MC's hand clenches with uncontrollable fury. The villain then lands a powerful kick on the guy and asks how long he's going to be on his case. The blow sends Seiki flying with absurd force across the parking lot. With that, the guy is thrown backward as Goda prepares to continue the attack. Goda yells furiously and attacks with his axe to end it all once and for all. But the axe hits the empty ground, and the villain is left confused about what happened. The weapon smashes into the asphalt, creating a small crater with the force of the impact. At that moment, one of the fallen goons pulls out a gun and points it at the guy. With a cold look, our MC concentrates a dark energy in his hand. Goda is completely terrified, seeing the power emanating from the kid's body. From there, the guy clenches his fist and prepares for his counter-attack. Without wasting time, he lunges forward and lands a devastating punch right in the villain's stomach. The blow is so strong that the captain spits blood and his face gets all bruised. With that, Goda is sent flying backward with absurd violence due to the force of the attack. Lying on the ground, the villain looks at the guy with a mix of hatred and pure fear. Our MC glares at him and prepares to deliver the final blow without any hesitation. He then lands a solid kick right in the middle of his former captain's face. The impact makes the villain spin in the air before crashing to the ground again. From a distance, Tia watches it all with a smile and comments that it looks pretty painful. With that, Goda is left on the ground, completely defeated and with no strength left to fight. And so our MC turns and walks away from the completely destroyed car. Seen from above, Goda begins to glow with a sinister purple energy in the parking lot. Suddenly, the villain's body begins to swell, and he screams in pure agony from the transformation. The noise catches the guy's attention, and he turns to see what the heck is happening. He is shocked to see that Goda has turned into a giant, shapeless mass of red flesh. The creature lets out a horrifying scream, revealing the monstrous form of his former captain. Without wasting time, the monster attacks our MC with a devastating and furious punch. The kid tries to defend himself, but the force of the blow is too great and sends him flying. The impact of the attack is brutal, and the guy is thrown backward with absurd violence. Meanwhile, Mio remains unconscious inside the car, unaware of the danger surrounding her. The beast, now completely transformed, lets out a roar of pure fury and power. Tia appears and warns that he's turned into a carrier and asks what the guy plans to do now. Our MC hesitates, saying that even though he's a monster, he was once human. The creature, however, ignores everything and focuses its gaze on Mio, who is defenseless in the car. Tia extends her hand and asks if he's really going to hesitate to attack the monster. Our MC takes off his glasses and lets them fall to the ground with a cold expression. He runs a hand through his hair, and a dark thought about Mio crosses his mind. Faced with the situation, the monster gets up from the ground, ready to continue the fight. With that, a dark energy explodes from the guy and spreads throughout the parking lot. The power materializes into a bizarre weapon as Tia cracks a satisfied smile. Right after, the creature clenches its fist and prepares for the next attack. His eyes glow red, and he yells that he will protect his sister at any cost. From there, he vows to hunt down anyone who dares to harm her. He turns to the creature with his new weapon in hand and a look of pure fury. The monster roars, and a gigantic blade emerges from its mouth to attack the guy. Next to Tia, our MC faces the threat and tells the thing to bring it on. With a single blow, the guy's weapon pierces the monster, which falls defeated to the ground. Our MC looks at the fallen body of his former captain with a cold stare, but suddenly, the creature's fist clenches, showing that the fight isn't over yet. The monster attacks with a giant punch, but our MC defends with his weapon. Even injured, the creature's fist regenerates, and it's not going down that easily. Seiki holds his energy weapon tightly, ready to continue the battle. With a deafening roar, the creature shows all its uncontrolled fury. The monster charges again, and the guy faces it without showing any fear. Without hesitation, our MC delivers a sequence of blows, slicing the enemy. Tia warns that carriers don't feel pain and attack until they're destroyed. With that in mind, he decides he'll keep cutting the thing up until the end. He readies his weapon and concentrates to deliver his most powerful blow. The attack hits the monster's face squarely, causing an explosion of energy. The force of the impact is so great that it sends the creature flying backward. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the past with a terrified boy on the ground. A man with a cruel smile and a giant weapon approaches him slowly. We see that this man is a much younger Goda, about to attack the boy. Back in the present, our MC mercilessly attacks his former captain. With a furious look, our MC says Goda has done enough to him. From there, he splits the monster into several pieces with a single strike of his weapon. With that, the creature's pieces scatter in the air, marking the villain's end. Right after, the guy turns and walks away as the monster vanishes. Inside the hospital, our MC's sister finally begins to wake up. At her side, Seiki-kun greets her with a smile, and she calls him Big Brother. He asks how she's feeling, and the girl explains that Goda made her pass out. Mio asks if he saved her, and the guy confirms, saying Mizuno warned him. Hearing the other girl's name, Mio makes a face of pure jealousy instantly. She asks if Mizuno is the girl with the big chest, and he gets embarrassed. With a smile, the girl says he needs to thank Mizuno for her help. But right after, her expression changes, and she becomes serious and thoughtful. The scene then returns to the flashback, showing Goda from behind in the past. Mio says that Goda told her something before all of that happened. The memory of what the villain said leaves her with an expression of pure shock. RMC lies, saying Goda was infected and delirious. He says the villain didn't know what he was saying to try and calm his sister down. With a forced smile, he assures her it was all just a bunch of nonsense. Mio, however, looks wide-eyed, not quite believing it. The girl gets agitated and yells, asking if he's not putting himself at risk because of her. She becomes desperate at the possibility of being a burden to her brother. The guy turns his face for a moment, seemingly thinking of an answer for her. The girl's concern seems to have affected him somehow. With tears in her eyes, Mio says that if she's the reason he gets hurt. But he cuts her off and yells for her not to be stupid and to stop it. Even with the scolding, the girl can't hold back her tears of worry. She continues to cry softly in the hospital bed, still very shaken. Suddenly, she looks at him and says he seems different somehow now. The change in her older brother hasn't gone unnoticed. Outside, the police and authorities have already surrounded the hospital to investigate the case. From the room's window, our MC watches all the activity. With a gentle gesture, he places his hand on her head and says everything is okay. Mio calms down a bit with the gesture and accepts her brother's affection. The girl then asks with a worried look for him to be very careful. She knows the dangers he faces and fears for his well-being. The scene shifts to a simple apartment building during the dark night. This is where our MC has always lived alone. Back in the room, he wonders if he really seems different like she said. The guy doesn't seem sure about the changes in his own body. Looking at the mess outside, he announces he's going back to his apartment. The situation at the hospital is going to be chaotic for a while. To cheer her up, the guy flexes his muscles and says she doesn't need to worry. He boasts that her big brother is insanely strong. Shortly after, he arrives at his small and very simple room, a modest place that reflects the hard life he leads to take care of everything. Suddenly, Tia appears, floating in the room in her small and cute form. Sitting at his desk, he decides he needs to analyze the whole situation. At this, the demoness flies towards a magazine, leaving him completely embarrassed. Right after, the creature assumes her human form, and the guy calls her by name. With a smile, she explains that high-level carriers can alter their appearance. But the most important thing for her right now is to grab the magazine with pictures of women. With that, she teases him, asking if this is the kind of stuff he's into. Sitting on the bed, the demoness looks at him with a mischievous gaze and invites him to continue. All embarrassed, he changes the subject and asks if he used that power on his own. He questions if it was because he's her host, and the creature confirms it. The guy asks if he can now fight the carriers even without having powers. Tia explains that the virus inside him is suppressing the infection in a unique way. She shows that in his case, her abilities were added to the virus's power. The demoness says it all works on the same principle of power against power. Hearing the explanation, our MC finally understands how it all works. Tia calls him weak and says he still can't use all of her power. She explains that she only took a small piece of him, and their connection needs to get stronger. But the demoness warns that this would shorten his life, which makes him very worried. With a calm look, the creature says she won't force him to do anything he doesn't want to. She smiles and says that personally, she would love to stay with him for a very, very long time. All flustered, the guy says that's why they need to keep everything a secret. He knows that if the association finds out he's coexisting with a carrier, he'd be eliminated. Because of this, he decides he needs to avoid high-ranking purifiers at all costs. The demoness agrees, saying his safety is the priority, and the guy is relieved. Right after, the creature leans over him and starts a new round of teasing. With a mischievous smile, she asks if deep down, he just doesn't want her all to himself. She teases him for getting all flustered and says it only makes him even more suspicious. Faced with the situation, our MC is completely frozen by her proximity. Meanwhile, a mysterious drone watches the whole scene, hidden in the darkness. The scene shifts to a destroyed city where a giant monster lets out a roar of fury. Elsewhere, a group of soldiers fights to defend themselves in a city. They yell that they won't hold out and ask for someone named Tino-san. In the sky, the shadow of a gigantic plane appears through the clouds of smoke. The help they were hoping for finally seems to be on its way. Inside the ship, a guy prepares to jump from the opening ramp. He seems very calm and confident for the mission awaiting him below. A countdown begins, and the target is approaching quickly, only 5 seconds left before he joins the action on the battlefield. And so, the countdown ends and the purifier jumps from the plane. He heads straight into the middle of the combat zone without the slightest hesitation. Below, the monster attacks one of the soldiers, who screams in pure terror. The situation on the ground was getting more and more desperate for the team. His comrades yell that the creature will get past them at any moment. They beg for Tino-san to arrive soon and help them in the fight. Suddenly, the creature looks up as it notices an approaching light. A vortex of energy forms in the sky and catches the thing's attention. From the sky, the guy unleashes an attack with a super over the top and flashy name. The blue energy descends with simply devastating and immense power. The monster is hit head on and sent flying backward by the force of the blow. The creature didn't stand a chance of defending itself from the surprise attack. The thing roars in pure pain as its body begins to fall apart. The electrical energy courses through every part of the creature without stopping for a second. With that, the beast is completely annihilated by the explosion of blue lightning. That purifier's power is on a completely different level from the others. The soldiers who were fighting watch the scene in complete shock. They can barely believe what they just witnessed. The dust settles, and the guy lands on the ground amidst all the destruction. He seems quite pleased with the result of his powerful attack. This is Tino-san, a 21-year-old first-class purifier. He boasts about adding another legend to his incomparable greatness. Faced with the situation, the soldiers celebrate the victory and cheer for their savior. Tino-san waves to the crowd as if he were a huge rock star. Suddenly, the device on his wrist starts beeping non-stop. A new mission has just arrived for the first-class purifier. With a smug smile, he laments the difficulties of being a man loved by the gods. He then checks the information for the new mission he received. The screen shows that a new type of carrier has recently appeared. The creatures seem much stronger and more dangerous than the previous ones. The mission also reports on infected humans who are becoming violent. A new threat that the association needs to deal with as quickly as possible. But the most shocking thing is the photo of a key witness, who is our MC. The image shows him with Tia, and he looks completely terrified. With a smirk, Tino-san understands the gravity of the situation. They are sending him personally to solve this whole problem. He looks out at the destroyed city and says this all seems very interesting. The purifier seems excited about the new challenge that awaits him. Meanwhile, our MC is in his apartment, completely unaware. He's about to discover a problem much more urgent than monsters. The guy picks up his phone and looks at his bank statement with his heart in his throat. His current balance is only 623 yen, which is a disaster. Faced with the situation, he collapses to the floor and screams in pure despair. Our MC is officially broke and penniless. He laments, saying that if he doesn't get a new mission soon, he's going to starve. The hero life doesn't seem to be paying very well lately. Seeing the scene, Tiet asks why he still needs the association. After all, he can already defeat the carriers on his own without help. She says if he doesn't team up with others, he can collect the fragments himself. That way, he wouldn't have to share the reward with anyone. Our MC explains that these fragments are the association's main source of income. Without them, it wouldn't be possible to train purifiers and maintain peace. Tia thinks it's all a bunch of red tape, but our MC says he can't just take the fragments for himself. With a serious look on his face, the guy thinks that, however, there's a much bigger reason behind it all. These fragments are the hearts of the carriers and act as a medicine for those infected by the virus. Because of this, the fragments are the only hope for Mayo, and he might not have another choice. The demoness listens intently to the guy's anguish with a serious and focused expression on her face. And so, she hugs him from behind and says that not having money for food is already a major emergency. Suddenly, his phone vibrates, and a new notification from the Purifier Association appears on the screen. The message is a notification about the periodic skills assessment that's happening soon. Our MC then realizes it's that time of year again for the annual test. The scene quickly takes us to the association's training grounds, where the event will be held. Arriving there, Seiki-kun finds several other purifiers already warming up for the test. He notices that Mizuno isn't participating and figures it must be because of her injuries from the last fight. At that moment, Tia appears in her small form and asks with curiosity what kind of event this is. The guy explains that it's an annual skills assessment that everyone in the district takes. He continues, saying the test simulates real combat and also evaluates each person's adaptability. From there, the guy explains that a purifier's rank is based on their achievements and test results. Awkwardly, he reveals that he's actually a 6th class purifier, which surprises the demoness. Tia teases him for being a weakling who doesn't even qualify for the 5th class, and the guy gets furious with her. Suddenly, our MC realizes he's being watched by other test participants. 2 guys with mocking smiles comment on the presence of a 6th class with no special immunity. They continue the taunting, saying his only use is to be bait for the monsters. The demoness gets irritated by the mockery and asks if they shouldn't just finish off the 2 of them. The guy says he doesn't want to draw attention and is going to hold back during the assessment, which leaves Tia very bored. The first trial begins and everyone must run an obstacle course wearing a heavy vest. One of the guys who taunted him realizes he's running next to him and glares at him with a smile. The purifier mocks him for not using the physical enhancement that special immunity allows. With a fake smile, he pretends he forgot the guy doesn't have immunity and apologizes. Faced with the situation, the 2 burst out laughing and continue to humiliate our MC right there. The guy then says he'll show him the difference in class and unleashes a fire aura to run faster. Without mercy, the purifier still provokes him by mentioning his sister and calling her a burden. This provocation is the last straw, and fury begins to take over our MC. The guy continues, saying it would be better if his sister passed on soon so she wouldn't suffer anymore. With a malicious smile, he says that way she would stop being a burden to the family. At that moment, the judge tells everyone to get ready and points the starting pistol. In a mocking tone, the purifier says he'll wait for the guy at the finish line. Right after, the pistol fires, and the race finally begins for all participants. Faced with everything, our MC explodes in fury and unleashes a dark and powerful energy. With that, he shoots off ahead, leaving all the other purifiers behind in the dust. His speed is so great that the guy becomes just a red blur racing down the track. Without wasting time, he leaps over the first obstacle with superhuman agility. The jump is so powerful that he shatters part of the concrete structure upon landing. The other purifiers are left with their jaws on the floor, unable to believe what they just witnessed. The guy who taunted him is completely in shock and wonders what the heck just happened. Our MC continues the race at an simply absurd and uncontrolled speed. Mockingly, Tia asks if he wasn't going to hold back during the test as he had promised. With his fury at its peak, he says plans have changed and he's not holding back anymore. His eyes glow red as he yells that he's going to leave everyone eating his dust. The scene changes and we see a silver-haired purifier in a quiet village. This is Tino Yusei, a first-class purifier with a very confident air. Back at the race, our MC continues to clear the obstacles with ease. He runs so fast that the landscape around him becomes just a big blur. With a look of pure determination on his face, the guy doesn't slow down for anything. The other purifiers are in shock and say he'll have to slow down. They comment that this is the hardest part of the track, with platforms 10 feet apart. But without even hesitating, the guy leaps with absurd force to the next platform. He crosses the hardest part of the track as if it were absolutely nothing. The guys who taunted him are left with their jaws dropped, unable to believe what they're seeing. With one final jump, he reaches the other side and continues the race without looking back. Meanwhile, a crowd of people waits for him at the finish line to celebrate, and with incredible speed our MC crosses the finish line in first place. After winning, the guy takes off the heavy vest, still trying to catch his breath. Unable to accept defeat, the purifier accuses him of cheating and yells that the weight was fake. To prove him wrong, our MC throws the vest at the guy. The purifier can barely hold the weight and almost falls from the force of the impact. With that, the vest slams him to the ground, showing it was anything but light. The next trial is a test of strength and special immunity helps a lot with that, but our MC shows with a look of pure fury that it doesn't matter to him. Without wasting time, he punches the machine with simply absurd force. The strength meter shoots to the max and explodes into several pieces instantly. The explosion leaves everyone watching with their jaws on the floor. After that, the next trial is a shooting test with various types of weapons. Holographic targets of monsters and people appear for the participants to hit. Our MC thinks this will be a piece of cake too and throws a knife. The throw hits the target dead center, showing he's good at absolutely everything. The guys who mocked him before just watch, shocked by his performance. He throws another knife that hits the target squarely with perfect precision. But the impact of the throw is so strong that the target is destroyed, and the structure begins to shake. The two guys get scared, not understanding what's happening. Suddenly, the entire structure starts to crack and break into pieces. With that, all the purifiers there make a face of pure astonishment. The structure then collapses and explodes in a cloud of dust and debris. Tia whistles, impressed with the guy's power, and he strikes a cocky pose. The two guys who taunted him fall to the ground and call him a real monster. Suddenly Tia senses a presence and yells the guy's name in a warning tone. Our MC senses the danger and turns his head instantly to defend himself. A blue bolt comes towards him, and he prepares to block the surprise attack. With his hands, he manages to stop the blow, but the force of the impact sends him backward. The attacker is surprised that he managed to react in time. Standing on top of his weapon, the first-class purifier faces our MC. The guy is speechless seeing Tino Yusei there and doesn't understand why. Seiki-kun is shocked and recognizes that the guy is a first-class purifier. The entire crowd is frozen as Tino Yusei looks down on everyone from his weapon. The elite purifier then says our MC's full name out loud. With his weapon in hand, the guy doesn't understand why he's being called out like that. Tino throws his glove to the ground and says the kid managed to get his attention with his power. With a psycho smile, he says there's a special stage and calls him out for a fight. Our MC picks up the glove and puts it on his head, preparing for combat. Without wasting time, the elite purifier runs towards Seiki-kun to attack. He grips the handle of his giant weapon firmly and prepares for the first blow. With a mocking smile, Tano asks if our MC knows who he is. Seiki-kun responds seriously that it's impossible not to know who he is. After all, he's the famous Tino Yusei, a true 21-year-old idol. He's one of the 7 first-class purifiers out of 10,000 with absurd power. The guy also holds the record for the largest subjugation ever recorded in the association's history. Because of this, everyone knows him as a true human nuclear weapon. And to top it off, he calls himself the man loved by the gods with a very smug smile. Our MC can't believe he said that about himself, and the purifier says he's going to test him. The guy panics and yells that fighting a first-class like him is impossible. Tano ignores his desperation and stomps his foot on the ground with a force that cracks the entire pavement. He pulls a knife from his weapon and tells our MC not to worry about a thing. With a mocking smile, the elite purifier says he won't go hard on a 6th class. Faced with that attitude, the kid is completely confused and doesn't understand the situation. Tia then wonders what the heck that full of himself guy is planning to do. The elite purifier holds the knife and faces our MC ready for combat. The demoness gets bored with the scene and asks if this isn't going to be a bit dull. Our MC, however, wonders if this fight can be considered fair. Suddenly, the guy's eyes widen with an expression of pure shock and surprise. He is hit by a crushing pressure that slams him to the ground with absurd force. Lying on the ground, the kid can barely breathe and wonders what that pressure is. With a malicious smile, Tino feels his instincts screaming and taunts him for being unarmed. Faced with the situation, our MC runs to a table with various training weapons. Without wasting time, he grabs the nearest sword he can find to defend himself. With the weapon in hand, the guy tells himself he needs to fight and that he's going all out. Seeing the kid's attitude, Tano gets excited and yells for them to get to it. And so the two clash in an attack with simply absurd force. With the impact, the other purifiers yell to run far away from the chaos. Our MC tries to back away, but Tino pursues him closely without letting up. The elite purifier yells that he has no intention of playing tag with him. Right after, he attacks again, and the kid yells from the immense force of the blow. Because of this, our MC's sword shatters into several pieces in the air. With that, the guy is sent flying backward by the force of the impact and hits the ground hard. Even with the broken weapon, he grips the handle with all his might and gets up. From there, he uses the broken sword to attempt a new, completely desperate attack. His eyes show a determination that won't be easily shaken in the fight. Tino cracks a smile and praises the guy for his good eyes and quick reflexes. With gritted teeth, our MC prepares for what's coming next. Tino says he can't run forever and that the fight won't be fun that way. Faced with this, the guy yells and asks what the point of this fight is anyway. With an excited smile, the elite purifier yells that he already said he's intrigued. Seiki-kun tries to talk, but Tino says words are useless and he wants to get to know him. With a bizarre smile, he says that if they cross swords, he'll finally understand him. Our MC gets furious and yells, asking what the heck he's talking about. Effortlessly, Tino stops the broken blade with one finger and says his attacks are weak. The guy is completely shocked, unable to believe what just happened. With a flick, he sends the weapon flying and tells our MC to fight for real. With the force of the blow, the kid is thrown backward and ends up losing his balance. The distance between them shows just how big the power gap is. He realizes that Tino is on a different level from Gota's bestial form and thinks about what to do. Because of this, he puts his hand on the ground, preparing to use his hidden power. With a look of pure fury, the guy prepares to unleash his true strength. With that, he rips a giant lamppost out of the ground and asks what Tino thinks of that. The elite purifier looks up, completely shocked by the guy's absurd strength. Without wasting time, he throws the post right at Tino, who doesn't even move. The guy leans on the metal structure, showing he's not messing around in this fight. Our MC is surprised by his own power but doesn't hesitate to attack with everything he's got. From a distance, Tia comments that for a human, his performance isn't bad at all. But Tino stops the giant post with a single hand and without the slightest effort. Seeing this, the guy finally understands what the power of a first class is. He thought he understood the difference, but this was just too much for him to handle. With a powerful blue aura, Tino shows that his level is completely different. Shown from above, the power difference between the two becomes even more evident in the arena. The elite purifier then asks how long he's going to hide his abilities. Not understanding a thing, the guy asks what the heck he's talking about now. He stumbles from the question and almost falls to the ground again in surprise. Tino whispers that he defeated Gota, a 4th class, and that shouldn't be possible. The guy completely panics at the revelation and doesn't know what to do. And so, Tino lands a powerful kick right in our MC's midsection. With the force of the blow, the kid is slammed to the ground with no chance to react. The elite purifier threatens to report him to the association if he doesn't spill his secrets. Lying on the ground, the guy says he can't give details because he has his own reasons. Faced with the refusal, Tino asks a single question: why did he become a purifier? Our MC answers that he did it all for his sister and to cure her infection. The purifier finds the reason a bit silly and thinks the risk of infection is too high. With a determined look, the guy says he'll risk his own life for her. The answer leaves Tino silent and thoughtful for a brief moment. Suddenly, he attacks with his sword in a quick and surprising move. The kid is in shock and has no time to react to the unexpected blow. The attack cuts our MC's face, who falls to his knees injured. With a swift movement, the purifier slams his weapon into the ground. He says he has a responsibility as a 1st class, and his weapon glows. Our MC doesn't understand what he's doing so far away. At that moment, little Tia panics at the energy the purifier is releasing. With that, she screams desperately for Seiki, Kun, to run as fast as he can. With no time to react, the guy is thrown backward by an invisible and powerful force. From there, an explosion of blue energy is released with devastating power. The kid screams in pain as he's hit head-on by the shockwave of the attack. With that, he's sent flying as if he were nothing at all. The sweat on his face shows the pure terror of facing such immense power. He finally understands that Tino's strength is just ridiculously strong. The purifier says he'll risk his life to uncover the guy's hidden power. With a serious look, he says the kid is the type of person who could become a villain. Because of this, the pressure crushes the ground around our MC relentlessly. Tino yells that a dangerous person like him needs to be eliminated at once. The energy around him intensifies, showing he's not messing around. With a sad look, he asks the guy not to take what he's about to do personally. Suddenly, a dark energy explodes from our MC with absurd power. With that, Tino is completely shocked, unable to believe the guy's transformation. The device on his wrist beeps frantically, detecting the bizarre power level. With a satisfied smile, the elite purifier says he's finally revealed himself. From there, Seiki-kun charges forward, and the two clash in a duel of energies. Enveloped in a red aura, our MC shows he's not holding back anymore. He finally shows his true colors and unleashes all the power hidden inside him. Elsewhere, an official watches everything on a monitor with a look of astonishment. Back in the fight, our MC feels the pressure of the power and grinds his teeth. The official asks who else saw the recording, and Tino replies that it was just him. The elite purifier warns that if this leaks, it will cause a lot of trouble in the association. Scared, the official agrees and promises to keep everything top secret. With a cold look, Tino stares at the monitor with our MC's face on it. He finally confirms the name of his target and faces him with pure determination. Watching the fight, Tino says the guy has a completely different power, just as he thought. Tino yells that he doesn't understand and demands our MC give him an answer. The elite purifier wonders why his device is detecting contamination coming from the guy. From there, their energies clash, creating a dark whirlwind. Seeing the kid's silence, the elite purifier assumes he doesn't have an answer. Without wasting time, he attacks again with a powerful, lightning-filled charge. With that, he yells that he'll simplify the question so our MC can understand. Straight to the point, he asks if Seiki-kun is a carrier, and the guy desperately denies it. Tino then asks if he has any connection to a carrier, and Tia's shadow appears. Faced with the question, our MC falls silent, not knowing what to answer. The elite purifier takes his silence as a confirmation. And so, he grips the handle of his weapon, preparing for a new attack. His blade begins to glow with an intense blue energy, crackling with lightning. With that, the two clash again in an explosion of blue and red power. With glowing eyes, Tino charges at our MC with everything he's got. Our MC, however, manages to create an energy shield to defend himself. From there, the two face off in an exchange of blows with sparks flying everywhere. With gritted teeth, our MC tries to withstand the absurd pressure from the elite purifier. The guy is shocked by his speed and thinks he's faster than a dagger user. Seeing the scene, the other purifiers run in terror, yelling for no one to get close. With that, our MC uses his energy weapon to attempt a desperate counterattack. Tino, however, compliments him, saying he's a good fighter but is wasting his power. With his weapon in hand, the guy prepares for whatever comes next in the battle. Our MC then panics, wondering what he should do and if he should run. The elite purifier notices his hesitation and says he won't be able to escape. With a terrifying look, he asks if the guy really thinks he can run from a first class. Faced with the threat, our MC is completely terrified, not knowing what to do. He then yells at Tino, saying he's not an enemy of the Purifier Association. The elite purifier is surprised and asks why the heck he didn't say that sooner. With a tired look, the guy falls silent for a moment, thinking of an answer. He reveals that if they discovered his carrier power, he would surely be eliminated on the spot. He despairs because if this continues, his sister will perish, and yells that he won't get in the association's way. Hearing the guy's declaration, the elite purifier seems to finally understand the whole situation. From there, his weapon glows with a green and yellow energy, even more intense than before. With that, he charges and the two clash again with simply absurd and devastating power. Our MC screams in pain and is shocked to realize Tino is even faster now, and so the elite purifier knocks him to the ground and says he knows people like him very well. Lying on the ground, our MC hears the purifier say he has a theory about his power. Tino explains that people can surpass their limits to protect those important to them. An image from the past shows why our MC fights with such grit and determination. Because of this, Tino says people like that are trustworthy, and the guy is left confused. The elite purifier raises his weapon and warns that the next blow will surely end it all. His weapon glows intensely, and he warns him not to let his sister's future end right there. With that, he attacks with absurd power and yells for the guy to fight back with everything he's got. Faced with the attack, our MC just stares at the blow coming towards him, completely paralyzed. From a distance, little Tia comments that the purifier's weapon is pretty interesting for being able to fly. The elite purifier then soars high into the sky, preparing for his final attack. Faced with the situation, our MC looks up and calls for the demoness living inside him. With that, the creature appears in her small form and asks what the heck he wants at a time like this. Without hesitation and with pure determination, the guy yells for her to just devour him completely. Tia, however, gets very serious and asks if he understands what a request like that really means. He confirms he knows full well it will shorten his life, but doesn't seem to care one bit. For the guy, it's better to go down than to be unable to cure his sister, and that's his final decision. From there, a sinister smile appears in the darkness, and the demoness says she got the message. She then assumes her full form and says her host's wish is her command. With a determined look, the creature announces that our MC's request will be obeyed. Right after, a red energy begins to spread throughout the guy's body like veins. He grinds his teeth in pure pain as the demoness bites him to unleash all his hidden power. From the sky, Tino descends with full force and yells the name of his most powerful and devastating attack. The meter on his wrist beeps frantically and shows a power level of 800 points. But Seiki-kun's power rises to 860 and he faces the blow head on. With that, the elite purifier yells the name of his final attack with absurd power. Our MC's power rises to 950, and the demoness merges with him. With a smile, she says that was delicious, and the guy's power reaches 1000. And so, the two attacks prepare to collide in a simply epic scene. Tino's meter skyrockets, reaching 1650 with insane power. With red eyes, the elite purifier unleashes all his strength at once. Faced with the power, our MC yells and unleashes his energy for the final showdown. From there, the two powers clash in a devastating explosion of light and energy. With gritted teeth, Tino struggles to maintain control of his attack. Our MC also fights with everything he has to avoid being swallowed by the power. His feet drag on the ground, showing the absurd force he's up against. With a look of disappointment, the elite purifier closes his eyes at the scene. Faced with the situation, the guy yells it's a shame as his power shatters. Our MC's energy weapon breaks in a red explosion. With that, he is sent flying backward by the force of the impact, completely defeated. The dust settles, and our MC's silhouette remains standing in the middle of the smoke. Seeing this, Tino is shocked to see the guy is still conscious on the ground. Even injured, he uses a piece of his broken weapon to continue fighting with everything he has. Seeing this, the elite purifier raises his weapon to deliver the final blow. But with a bizarre smile, our MC shows that the fight isn't over yet. Without wasting time, he lunges forward and lands a surprise punch on the elite purifier. The elite purifier, however, prepares to defend against the unexpected attack. With that, his gauntlet glows and creates a blue energy shield to block the blow. The punch hits the shield squarely, which begins to crack from the force of the impact. The force is so great that the entire gauntlet shatters into several pieces instantly. With a mask and red eyes, the guy continues the attack without giving the enemy a break. Tino blocks the blow with his weapon and says that's enough of this pointless fight. But the guy grabs the blade with his hands, and the purifier is shocked again. And so, Tino prepares a punch with his free hand to counter the attack. The blow lands squarely on our MC's face, who screams in pure pain. The blow hits our MC dead on, sending him flying. Then Tino catches him and says he can be proud of himself. With a smile, he adds that the guy is a man he can trust. Sometime later, our MC slowly starts to regain consciousness. He wakes up lying on a bench, and a voice confirms that he's finally awake. With that, the guy's eyes snap open, startled and confused about where he is. As he sits up, he comes face to face with Tino and calls him a first-class purifier. The elite purifier asks the kid not to panic with a smile. He explains that if he wanted to get rid of him, he would have done it a long time ago. Tino also mentions he changed his clothes and tells him not to even think about trying to escape. Turns out, the two of them are in a helicopter on their way to Tokyo. Their destination is the headquarters of the Special Purifier Association. Faced with the situation, our MC freaks out and yells that Tino is going to get him taken out. He accuses him of turning him over to the association, but the guy yells at him to calm down. Tino then reveals the truth and says the guy has been summoned by the association. Tino says that's all, but reminds the guy of the mess he made during the test. Our MC replies that half the blame belongs to the elite purifier himself. With that, Tino changes the subject and asks about what happened at the hospital. He offers the kid a chance to tell him everything, and the guy agrees on the spot. From there, the elite purifier understands that the girl on the camera was the carrier. And so, he concludes that the guy's abilities improved because he's her host. Our MC admits that even he doesn't really understand how it all works. Tia, however, doesn't want the elite purifier to know any more about her. Tino asks for her name and if the kid can show her to him. With a malicious smile, the demoness refuses to appear for the purifier. She says she doesn't think she'd get along with him, because the guy seems too bossy. Our MC thinks to himself that Tia is kind of right about the purifier. He makes up an excuse and says she's shy because the guy is good looking. Tino gets all cocky and says then there's nothing to be done about it. Faced with the situation, the guy says he feels bad about going to the headquarters. With a smile, Tino says he has an idea and our MC is confused. From there, the helicopter lands on the helipad of the enormous association building. An automatic door opens, and the two finally enter the purifier headquarters. As they walk, Tino advises him not to overthink it, and to keep the carrier's existence a secret. With a serious look, he warns that a certain someone's obsession around here is simply abnormal. And so, the two continue walking down the hall, and our MC seems very nervous. In front of a wooden door, the elite purifier knocks a few times before entering. A voice tells him to come in, and he announces himself as first-class purifier Tino Yusei. He hands over the investigation report on the new carrier that appeared in Kawago. Our MC then finds himself in a meeting room full of important people from the association. With his eyes wide with surprise, he recognizes a very familiar face among them all. He remembers that this is Chairman Kazuki, whom he had only seen on the news before. Facing the man, the guy thinks that in person, he seems even stronger and more intimidating. This is Kazuki Juke, the 45-year-old chairman of the Purifier Association. A blonde woman with a serious look asks them to start the report presentation right away. Tino explains that he had a confrontation with the new carrier and that Seiki Kun fought alongside him. With that, our MC introduces himself, all clumsy and nervous, to the association's big shots. Chairman Kazuki looks at him suspiciously and questions the fact that he's a mere 6th class. One of the members, however, remembers that he's the guy who participated in the special exam. From there, he begins to report the characteristics of the new type of carrier he faced. The guy says that people attacked by them go crazy and spread a secondary infection. He narrates everything he saw firsthand, but actually, most of it was taught to him by Tia. To cover everything up, he says the explosion was caused by an oxygen tank that blew up. The association members become concerned about the threat of a carrier that nullifies special immunity. Another guy adds that it's even worse because now one infected person can infect others. The chairman summarizes by saying our MC attracted the carriers and took care of them all at once. With that, all the credit goes to the guy, and the chairman says he's glad he's safe. The chairman, however, pauses and his tone of voice changes completely. With a dark aura, he asks if by any chance there's something the two of them aren't telling. And so, the two become completely tense and afraid of being found out. Our MC clenches his fist and tells himself he needs to stick to the plan. He reveals that he was injured by a carrier during the confrontation at the hospital. The association members panic and yell that he was infected because he's not immune. The guy denies it and says that for some reason, he wasn't infected by the disease. From there, Tino intervenes and asks everyone to look at today's test results. With a beep, he projects a hologram with the assessment data for everyone in the room. The association members are shocked to see the guy's impressive record. The chairman stares at the data and confirms that it hasn't been tampered with in any way. Tino explains that the guy's physical improvement is an effect of contact with the new virus strain. He continues, saying it's no different from the manifestation of a special immunity. One of the guys gets excited and comments that if this is true, it's incredible. With a smile on his face, Another member says this will open new possibilities for humanity. With that, everyone in the room seems excited about the discovery and buys the story. Our MC comments to Tino that it's exactly as he had planned. The elite purifier then reveals his secret to the success of their lie. Tino explains that the guy has great value, and it would be a waste to take him out. He warns him that this is just the first step, and there's still much more to come. Our MC then asks why the elite purifier is helping him. He says it would be better for Tino to just report him to the association. The elite purifier then approaches with a very serious and determined look. He asks the guy not to misunderstand him and releases a powerful aura, with a blue glow on his chest. He yells that he is not an ally of the association. He then reveals that he is actually an ally of justice, which leaves the kid in shock. Tino explains that he decides what justice is, and the guy is left speechless. A memory of Mio makes him think that her brother is also an ally of justice. Hearing the purifier's declaration, our MC finally understands his intentions. With a smile, Tino promises he'll help him as long as he doesn't go against his justice. Our MC cracks a small smile and seems relieved by the proposal. He thanks the elite purifier, but Tino warns that it's too soon for that. The guy gets all flustered and grateful for the unexpected help he received. Chairman Kazuki adds that our MC's physical abilities have improved greatly. He explains that it's not like the special immunity that appears by suppressing the virus. Faced with the situation, one of the association members says he's impressed with the guy. He comments that using the virus as if it were his own power is incredible. Another guy says that depending on your point of view, his bond makes him a valuable test subject. Therefore, they need to handle our MC very carefully. Suddenly, a blonde woman stands up and yells that everyone is ignoring a huge problem. Her attitude silences the entire meeting room. Our MC is startled by the intervention while Tino stares at her very seriously. The tension in the air grows heavier, and no one dares to say a word. This is Nagato, a first-class purifier, only 20 years old. Her determined gaze shows she's not there to play games. The guy is completely terrified by her presence and starts screaming in pure fear. He thinks the girl is even scarier than the chairman of the association himself. With a fiery aura, Nagato asks if they're really going to trust a carrier's story. She questions everyone's decision and makes it clear she doesn't agree with any of it. The purifier yells that it seems everyone has forgotten the suffering the virus caused people. The association members hang their heads in shame at her words. With a hard stump on the floor, she says the idea of being friends with a carrier is simply horrifying. The force of her stump is so great it cracks the meeting room floor. Furious, the purifier glares at Tino and yells that our MC must be eliminated on the spot. She doesn't accept the presence of a carrier and demands immediate action. Tino replies that getting rid of him won't improve the situation at all, and that the guy is a victim. Our MC gets desperate and says that they are purifiers. Faced with the argument, Chairman Kazuki yells that's enough, and that elite purifiers should not fight. His voice echoes through the room and puts an end to their discussion. From there, the two stare at each other in silence after the scolding from the big boss. The tension in the room remains, but at least the shouting is over for now. With that, Tino turns to the table and says he has a suggestion for the chairman. The head of the association looks at him seriously and tells him to proceed. With a smile, Tino says he understands Nagato's concern about the guy. He explains that there's no precedent and they don't know when the virus will manifest. Hearing his agreement, the elite purifier looks at him with a serious and suspicious gaze. She doesn't seem very convinced by her colleague's sudden change of attitude. With a quick gesture, the elite purifier extends his hand towards our MC. He prepares to present his solution to the problem they face. And so, he places his hand on the guy's shoulder and says he's the only one who can guarantee his safety. Because of this, he asks to be placed under his custody. Chairman Kazuki becomes thoughtful and seems to consider Tino's idea carefully. The elite purifier's proposal appears to be a viable solution to the situation. Faced with the proposal, the other association members agree with a smile of relief. They say that if it's the elite purifier, they can be much more at ease. Our MC is impressed by the move and thinks Tino is incredible. He used Nagato's argument to control the situation naturally. With a smug smile, the elite purifier adjusts his collar. He seems quite pleased with the result of his manipulation of the conversation. But suddenly, Nagato raises her hand and yells that she has an objection. Her action surprises everyone in the room and interrupts the purifier's plans. Tino is completely shocked and doesn't understand the reason for her objection. He turns to the purifier with an expression of pure confusion on his face. She then points to our MC and says Tino is too close to him. The purifier's accusation leaves the guy completely speechless in the middle of the room. With a suspicious look, she questions whether he can really make the right decision in an emergency. The elite purifier makes it clear she doubts his ability. Chairman Kazuki looks at the girl and asks what her suggestion is. Then, he seems tired of the fighting but is willing to hear what she has to say. From there, the purifier takes a step forward and approaches our MC. She prepares to present her own solution to the problem at hand. With a determined look, Nagato points to herself and says she will be his watchdog. Her declaration leaves everyone in the meeting room in complete shock. The scene then takes us to the enormous building of the Purifier Association headquarters, an imposing place that shows all the power and influence of the organization. Outside, Tino apologizes to our MC for all the chaos in the room. He says he didn't expect the situation to take such an unexpected turn. The guy changes the subject and asks what kind of person the first-class Purifier Nagato is. He comments that he's never seen her in the news, and Tino prepares to answer. With a cold sweat on his face, our MC awaits the answer with a very nervous expression. He already imagines the Purifier's reputation isn't the best. Tino then sums up the girl as a woman who will destroy every carrier she finds. The mental image the guy creates of her is of a bloodthirsty monster. Right after, Nagato herself appears and starts walking beside him down the hall. The presence of the elite Purifier makes our MC completely tense. She explains that her team's area of responsibility is limited to Tokyo. Nagato says they'll come up with a plan in a few days and asks him to wait. The guy nods and thinks he needs to contact Mayo as soon as possible. He needs to tell his sister about the new situation he's gotten himself into. Suddenly, Nagato stops walking and turns to our MC asking for his forgiveness. Her action surprises the guy, who didn't expect an apology from her. The Purifier explains that she overreacted to what Tino said in the meeting. She assures him she has nothing personal against him, and that she just said some rude things. Our MC is silent for a moment, not knowing what to say. The Purifier's sudden change in attitude has left him completely confused. With a relieved smile, he says he's glad to hear that, but she cuts him off. Nagato says that making friends with carriers is useless and laughable. The Purifier makes it clear that she has no intention of being his friend. Her words leave our MC completely paralyzed and in shock. In his mind, little Tia appears with a red card and agrees with the Purifier. It seems the demoness isn't too keen on making new friends either. Nagato turns and says the timing is perfect as the troops are gathered for a mission. With that, she invites him to introduce him to all the members of her team. Our MC is curious to know what the members of the elite team are like. He has no idea what awaits him on the other side of that door. With an apprehensive look, he imagines the Nagato team as a group of serious scientists. He wonders what kind of people they are and how they will react to him. The Purifier then opens the door and prepares to enter the meeting room. Our MC's tension only increases with every second he stands in front of the door. With a smile, she apologizes for the delay and finally enters the room. She seems much more relaxed now that the meeting with the big shots is over. The scene our MC finds, however, is very different from what he imagined. The Nagato team seems to be a bunch of slackers and juvenile delinquents. A girl with pink hair stares at him curiously and asks who he is. This is Yaji Aya, an 18-year-old third-class purifier. Nagato introduces him as Seiki Kaido, a 6th-class purifier who will be staying with them. The news takes everyone by surprise, and they don't seem very happy about the idea. A blonde guy yells that he didn't know there were people below the 5th class. This is Natsume Jaiwahai, a 19-year-old third-class purifier. A guy with blue hair asks why a guy like him is there with them. This is Hattori Saya, a 22-year-old third-class purifier. Faced with the malicious comments, little Tia appears with a murderous look. She says it's time to finish them all off, and the guy panics. Our MC yells, no, and tries to stop the demoness from doing something crazy. The last thing he needs right now is more trouble. All awkward and embarrassed, he looks at the team, who seems very confused. The pink-haired girl seems to be enjoying the whole scene. With an annoyed look, Natsume points at the guy and glares at him with contempt. Hattori continues the taunting and says he's completely useless to the team. Nagato, however, says the idea came from the elite purifier Tino Yusei. She explains that she asked him to hand him over to her team to take care of him. The revelation leaves all the team members in complete shock and speechless. They can't believe their captain made such a request. Nagato warns that he will participate in the next mission and that they should get to know each other first. She then leaves the room and leaves him alone with the new and eccentric team. With that, our MC is left completely paralyzed and confused. The news that he's going on a mission with them caught him by surprise. Suddenly, the entire team surrounds him with a dark and threatening aura. They demand to know what his relationship is with Captain Nagato and what he wants. Faced with the situation, the guy is completely terrified by the group's pressure. He doesn't know what to say and fears what might happen to him there. In a panic, he yells that he doesn't even know Purifier Nagato well. The answer leaves the pink-haired girl completely shocked by the revelation. Natsume grabs him by the collar of his shirt and yells that he doesn't believe what he heard. He doesn't understand how the guy doesn't know their team captain. Yaji Aya says that by not knowing her, he's missing out on 10% of his life. The other two nod in agreement and seem very serious about it. From there, They all start listing the captain's qualities for the guy. They describe her as intelligent, beautiful, cool, and adorable with great excitement. Natsume says he became a purifier because Nagato saved his life once. Hattori, however, complains that he's told that story more than 10 times. With a mischievous smile, Hattori says what matters is the charm she exudes. Suma, however, scolds him and tells him to stop with those weird comments. Soma says her charm lies in her personality and intellect. Natsume gets furious and asks why he's acting like he's her boyfriend. Seeing the fight, Yagiea pulls out her phone and calls them all idiots. She seems to have a plan to end the argument once and for all. With a smile, she says she's going to show a secret video of the captain with a kitten. The proposal catches everyone's attention, and they stop fighting instantly. The scene on the phone shows the purifier's hand petting a white cat. The kitty seems to be enjoying the affection very much and even closes its eyes. In the video, the purifier asks where the kitten came from with a very sweet smile. The cute image of the captain leaves everyone completely enchanted and silent. With hearts in their eyes, the entire team is moved by the captain's video. Hattori and Soma even cry with emotion seeing the cute scene of her with the kitten. Suddenly, a sword pierces through the phone while the video was still playing. The cat's meow is interrupted by the sound of metal slicing through the device. The blade gets stuck in the wall right next to our MC's head. Startled, he freezes in pure terror. Seeing the scene, the entire team's jaws drop, unable to believe what just happened. They stare at the sword in the wall, completely shocked and without reaction. At the door, Nagato appears with a look of fury and embarrassment for being caught red-handed. She didn't expect the team to be watching that secret video of her. All red-faced, the purifier says she's confiscating the phone, and the team apologizes. They bow desperately, afraid of the furious captain's reaction. From there, the purifier unleashes a fiery aura, and the team continues to bow. Her fury is so great that the entire room seems to catch fire suddenly. The sound of a spinning chair breaks the silence and catches everyone's attention. The dry, metallic sound echoes through the room and interrupts the captain's scolding. An old man warns that he'll leave them behind if they continue with this nonsense. This is Takayama Toriyama, the 52-year-old vice captain of the Nagato team. With a serious look, the vice captain tells everyone to get a move on as the mission is about to start. The team straightens up instantly and prepares to leave. Shortly after, the team walks through a forest, and the vice captain makes a comment. He says the pollution factor in the area is about 5,000, which is reasonable. The forest landscape is very beautiful but hides dangers they can't even imagine. The team continues their walk, alert to any sign of a nearby threat. Hidden in the bushes, 2 guys watch the team and comment on their caution. They say another team has already been sent, and that everyone is fine for now. Soma says the carrier is well hidden and doesn't look like the others they've faced. The vice captain listens to him attentively and seems to agree with his analysis. The vice captain gets worried as it's the first time he's seen this pattern of behavior. He has a bad feeling about what might happen on this mission. Our MC takes the opportunity to introduce himself to the vice captain. He apologizes for the late introduction and says his name is Seiki Kato. The vice captain, however, stares at him seriously and introduces himself as Takayama. His expression doesn't seem very friendly, and the guy feels a bit intimidated. With a smile, our MC says it's a pleasure to meet him and that he hopes to learn from him. He tries to be as polite as possible to make a good first impression. Takayama, however, cuts him off and says he works for his salary and nothing more. He warns the guy not to expect anything else from him, leaving him completely embarrassed. With a dark aura, the vice captain warns that he'll finish off anyone who gets in the way of his work. The threat leaves our MC completely terrified and in a cold sweat. As he walks, the guy thinks that everyone on the Nagato team is very strange. Natsume then asks what they should do since the enemy isn't showing up. Faced with the situation, the team stops and gathers to decide how they'll handle the subjugation. They need a plan to lure out the carrier and finish it off for good. Suddenly, a giant gorilla-like monster appears and lets out a terrifying roar. The creature appears out of nowhere and catches everyone by surprise in the middle of the forest. Natsume's jaw drops, and he screams in shock at seeing the creature in front of him. He didn't expect the carrier to appear so suddenly. With a confident smile, Soma says this won't be a problem for them. He's already preparing for combat and seems very calm about the situation. Without wasting any time, the purifier readies his crossbow and loads it with 3 arrows. He takes precise aim at the monster and prepares for the team's first attack. From there, he fires the arrows with simply absurd speed. The arrows fly towards the monster with picture-perfect precision. The attack hits the gorilla square in the chest, and it roars in pure pain from the impact. The energy arrows explode on contact, causing considerable damage to the creature. With a mouth full of blood, the monster glares at the team with even more fury. The creature doesn't look like it's going down easily and prepares for a counter-attack. With that, the monster falls to the ground with a dull thud that makes the earth tremble. The team watches the scene, alert to any movement from the fallen creature. Suddenly, a smaller monster appears and attacks the team from behind without them noticing. Natsume, however, notices the threat and, with a mocking smile, turns to face the creature. At the same time, Soma also reacts and points his crossbow, ready to shoot the new enemy. But Soma's shot hits the larger gorilla, while Natsume leaps to attack with his sword. Natsume complains to Soma for stealing his prey, but the guy replies that the fastest one wins. Faced with the situation, the giant gorilla gets up with even greater fury and a dark aura. The creature then charges at Natsume, who braces himself for the impact of the attack. With that, they both realize the creatures are much more resilient than they imagined. Soma's expression turns serious and focused as he analyzes the dangerous situation. And so, the smaller monster takes advantage of the distraction and grabs Hattori's leg from behind. Hattori panics upon realizing the thing was still alive and ready to attack. Turns out, even wounded, the creature was dragging itself along the ground to catch him by surprise. Seeing the scene, Yagi-aya screams Hattori's name, completely desperate about the attack. To make matters worse, the giant gorilla leaps and prepares to crush the trapped Hattori. Because of this, Hattori is cornered with nowhere to run and becomes desperate. Faced with the situation, Yagi-aya and Natsume scream in terror at the monster behind them. With that, Natsume lets out a shriek of pure fear, not knowing what to do in that situation. And so, our MC uses Natsume's shoulder as a springboard to jump. From there, he flies like a black blur towards the two monsters on the ground. Without wasting time, the guy lands a powerful punch on the gorilla attacking Hattori. His fist glows with a dark energy, showing off all his new hidden power. The blow lands squarely on the creature's head, causing an energy explosion. Yagi-aya and Soma look up, completely shocked by the scene they just witnessed. Faced with the situation, our MC lands on the ground, enveloped in his dark aura. His eyes show a cold determination as he faces the enemies before him. Natsume then faces the giant gorilla, which, despite being injured, is still standing. Suddenly, the smaller monster leaps at him with its claws ready to attack. The creature lets out a horrifying roar, showing it won't give up the fight so easily. The scene shows our MC's pure killer instinct in the face of the imminent threat. The two monsters prepare to attack together, their eyes glowing red. Our MC runs towards the creatures while Natsume deals with the other two. Without wasting time, the guy places his hand on the fallen monster and prepares to attack. The two gorillas get up and face the boy, ready for whatever comes next. With a look of pure determination, our MC prepares for a new attack. From there, he uses the monster as a springboard and leaps onto the other two creatures. With that, the beasts are completely shocked, with no time to react to the surprise attack. At the same time, Natsume attacks the two monsters from behind with his swords in a single blow. Seeing the scene, the two purifiers look at each other for a moment in silence. Shortly after, Soma finishes off the red monster with a clean arrow to its chest. Natsume then uses a spinning attack and cuts down the other two monsters at once. The dust settles, and the entire team stands still in the middle of the forest after the battle. With a smile, Natsume says our MC is brilliant, and the guy seems pleased. But his expression changes, and he is shocked by the boy's strength. He wonders what kind of strength that is, and calls the guy a real monster. Soma is also shocked and wonders how he did that without special immunity. Yagi-aya is shocked and wonders if he's stronger than Captain Nagato. Hattori is also impressed and thinks he underestimated the team's rookie. With that, the rest of the team walks behind him with a mix of admiration and caution. Hatekiyama comments that he moves well and asks Hattori if his immunity is normal. And so, the vice captain concludes that those monsters are not the new type. Shortly after, more creatures appear, and Natsume complains that they were supposed to be rare. Our MC cracks a smile as he seems to understand what's happening. Tia appears and warns that she senses their presence, and that it's all Seiki-kun's fault. A monstrous boar appears and the vice captain says the old models are no problem. From there, the entire team prepares to fight. But the guy has a bad feeling. Suddenly a dark and purple energy begins to emerge from a dark cave. With that, a creature with several red eyes comes out of the darkness ready to attack. Faced with the situation, the entire team gets into a combat stance for the new threat. Without wasting time, the monsters charge at the team's purifiers. But a sphere of energy hits the gorilla square on, stopping it from continuing its attack. The one responsible for the attack was our MC, who lands a powerful kick on the thing. With that, Soma and Natsume are shocked and wonder if he's really a 6th class. The guy then faces the enemies with a powerful aura and a very serious look. Hattori questions whether the rookie might be as strong as Captain Nagato. Hearing the idea, Yagi-aya yells furiously and tells him not to be stupid. But the girl admits that for a second, she thought the same thing about the guy. Suddenly, a horde of monsters jumps on Natsume and Yagi-aya, who become desperate. Right after, several rays of golden light slice through the creatures in the air in an instant. With that, the remains of the monsters fall to the ground, and the team prepares to fight. A voice then warns that the enemy is here, and they need to focus on the mission. That voice belonged to Captain Nagato, who tells everyone to concentrate on the battle to come. Our MC is impressed and thinks he couldn't even see her movement. Natsume cracks a huge fanboy grin and seems very excited about the captain's arrival. From there, the entire team starts drooling over Nagato and yells that she's the best. The captain, however, had already taken care of 20 beasts on her own without anyone seeing. Hattori celebrates the victory, but Yajiaya says the numbers don't add up. She explains that the pollution factor in the area is 5,000, and that there are still 3,000 missing. Faced with the situation, our MC gets serious and asks Tia what she thinks. The Demoness then reveals that there is one more enemy, and that it is very strong and hidden. The guy is surprised and wonders if it's just a single creature that's left. Tia informs him that the thing's pollution factor is 1,600, the highest one there. Because of this, our MC gets a tense and very worried look on his face. The Demoness then warns with a serious look that the creature is finally coming out. Suddenly the ground begins to crack right under Yagiaya's feet, and she gets scared. And so, something bursts out of the ground and attacks her with simply absurd speed. Our MC is completely in shock, not understanding what just happened. With a malicious smile, Tia reveals that the monster's target was him from the start. From there, a giant carnivorous plant emerges from the ground and surprises the whole team. Hattori manages to save Vijaya at the last second and yells her name desperately. With that, the monster ends up grabbing Soma, who is right next to him, and holds him tight. Hattori panics and screams desperately upon seeing Soma being captured by the monster. Without the slightest mercy, the creature closes its mouth and swallows the purifier in a single bite. Tia finds the scene super amusing and comments that the thing will digest its prey very slowly. Our MC gets furious at her comment and yells at the Demoness to stop laughing. The monster, however, attacks again with its tentacles, heading for Natsume and Hattori. Faced with the situation, the two scream in pure terror as they see the attack coming at them. And so, Natsume counters with a fire punch that hits one of the tentacles squarely. Hattori also uses his energy sword to cut the creature's other tentacle. With that, the two continue to attack the monster relentlessly with everything they have. Even with the blows, the creature seems to regenerate and feels absolutely nothing. Because of this, Natsume and Hattori are completely shocked by the thing's resilience. From there, the plant opens a giant mouth and shows that the fight is far from over. Hatakeyama gets a serious look as he seems to have recognized that creature. He yells that it's a new model, and Nagato prepares to enter the fight. The captain then unleashes a golden light attack that cuts the monster's tentacles. With a look of pure fury, Nagato concentrates for the next attack. From there, the captain unleashes a barrage of blows that slice through the tentacles. Our MC is shocked and wonders what kind of power that is. Tia is also surprised and questions the strange glow on the purifier's weapon. The captain's golden sword emanates an energy that doesn't seem to be just from her immunity. The Demoness admits that the purifier's energy is too dense to be analyzed. Faced with the situation, Hatakeyama looks at the captain and the remains of the monster on the ground. The vice captain seems to have understood the situation and prepares to act. And so he raises his axe and says the main body is underground. His eyes glow with determination as he prepares for a big blow. Without hesitation, the vice captain hits the ground hard and releases a shockwave. Because of this, the ground opens up, and a sinister purple energy begins to seep out. The force of the impact is so great that it sends our MC flying backward. From the hole in the ground, a pair of red eyes appears amidst the darkness. Our MC confirms with a tense look that the real enemy is in there. From there, a giant tentacle emerges from the hole with glowing red eyes. The creature attacks, and our MC manages to save Yagiaya at the last second. With that, the tentacle slams into the ground right where they were before. With a serious look, the guy faces the threat that almost caught them by surprise. Right after, he puts the girl down and charges at the monster. Furiously, he grabs the tentacle and yells that he's going to drag the thing out of there. The monster tries to retreat, but our MC doesn't let go and is dragged along with it. With gritted teeth, the boy holds on tight and doesn't give up. Because of this, he is pulled with absurd force into the dark hole. In the distance, Yagiaya and Natsume watch the scene, completely worried about him. Tia cracks a smile as her existence has been confirmed in the human world. The Demoness admits it's the first time she's seen a creature like that. Our MC's jaw drops, unable to believe the monster's size. Tia reveals that it's a mid-level carrier, and the team is in shock. Terrified, Yagiaya checks her device and sees that the pollution factor is extremely high. With eyes red with terror, Yagiaya stares at the number on her device. The meter reads an incredible 3070, and the creature glares at everyone. Natsume panics and yells that the thing's combat power is over 3000. Faced with this, our MC gets tense and wonders if he should use his power. Hattori yells for Captain Nagato and warns that Soma was caught by the monster. With a look of pure fury, the captain prepares to take action again. Without wasting time, the purifier leaps with her golden sword in hand. Tia explains that the biggest difference between carriers is the strength they have. Nagato attacks the creature with her energy sword with immense power. The demoness adds that mid-level carriers are intelligent. The monster looks at the captain with a cunning expression, showing its sagacity. Inside, Soma screams the captain's name as he is being crushed by the thing. The reflection in Nagato's eyes shows her fury upon seeing her colleague in danger. And so, the captain unleashes a red aura and prepares for the final blow. Hatakeyama yells that she's an idiot as the monster flees underground. The captain falls to the ground, completely shocked by the creature's escape. But Hatakeyama pushes her aside and saves her from a surprise attack. With that, a powerful tentacle slams into the ground where the purifier was. Seeing the scene, Hattori screams the vice captain's name, completely desperate. The vice captain, however, was hit head-on and falls to the ground, heavily injured. Faced with the situation, Nagato is completely in shock, unable to believe what happened. From there, the creature attacks again, and she has to defend herself from the tentacles. Without wasting time, the purifier counters with a powerful X-shaped blow. Inside, Soma continues to scream for help as the monster crushes him. Because of this, the captain gets surrounded and tries to fend off all the attacks. Hattori then prepares to join the fight and help his captain with his swords. Right after, he unleashes a powerful attack on the monster surrounding her. The blow hits the creature squarely, which lets out a hiss of pure pain from the impact. But the thing turns furious and prepares a counter-attack against the purifier. With no chance to defend, Hattori is hit head-on and sent flying. The purifier spits blood on the ground and is left with no strength to continue fighting. Nagato and Natsume are completely in shock, unable to believe what they just saw. With that, Natsume runs desperately to help Hattori, who is on the ground. But a dark aura begins to emerge from the purifier, who screams in pure pain from the transformation. Natsume goes into a full-blown panic upon seeing that his friend has been infected by the monster's virus. Suddenly, Hattori turns with red eyes and attacks his former comrade without mercy. The creature bites Natsume's shoulder, who is paralyzed by his friend's unexpected attack. In the distance, Yagiaya watches the scene of pure terror, completely frozen. With that, Hattori moves away from Natsume, who is now on the ground, gravely wounded. Terrified, Yagiaya whispers for it all to stop. At that moment, Nagato starts walking towards the two with a very serious look. The captain then asks what the heck happened to the two of them on the ground. Our MC tries to stop Yagiaya, yelling for her not to get close to them, but the guy is hit head-on by a tentacle while trying to protect the girl from the attack. With the impact of the blow, the boy is sent flying and spits blood from the pain. Faced with the situation, Nagato unleashes a shower of golden attacks against the giant creature. From inside, Soma cries and screams that it hurts so much as the virus consumes him. In his final moments of consciousness, he begs the captain to save him from that fate. With that, Nagato is surrounded by Hattori and Natsume, who have now also been infected. The sweat on her face shows her desperation as she sees she's losing her comrades. From there, the entire team transforms into monsters and advances on the captain. A happy memory of the team smiling together appears in her mind, stained red. Seeing the scene, the purifier is heartbroken, unable to believe what she's seeing. With that, a single tear rolls down her face, showing all her pain. A large impact on the ground shows the force of the battle unfolding. The tears continue to fall as she finds herself forced to fight against her friends. Suddenly, our MC appears and hugs her from behind with his monster arms. With a serious look, he says the monster's real target must be him. Soma's eyes focus on the guy, showing that his assumption is correct. And so, he steps in front of the purifier and says he will be the thing's opponent. Faced with the situation, our MC yells and pushes Nagato to save her from danger. With that, he holds her and asks if the purifier can move, but she seems in shock. The captain remains completely paralyzed, unable to react to the chaos around her. Seeing her state, the guy realizes he'll have to get her out of there himself. Without a second thought, he picks her up in his arms and yells, "Excuse me," to the purifier. From there, the boy runs desperately with the captain on his back, away from the fight. On the ground, Hakiyama calls out to Nagato, who looks at him with pure anguish. Our MC then leaves her with the vice captain and goes to fight alone. The purifier is completely shocked, watching the guy run back towards the monster. Right after, his body begins to transform as he advances into combat. Seeing the transformation, Nagato finally understands that he is a virus carrier. With a look of pure determination, our MC faces the threat without any fear. And so, he dashes at high speed towards the gigantic monster. As he runs, the guy wonders why he's okay even after being bitten. T appears with a smile and says that Weakling's virus is no problem for her. Faced with the situation, the entire infected team now advances on our MC. Natsume is the first to attack, letting out a horrifying scream with his red eyes full of fury. With a serious look, our MC doesn't hesitate and prepares to counter-attack. Without wasting time, he lands a powerful punch right in the middle of his former comrade. From there, the other two infected advance on him at the same time. With red eyes, they show they have completely lost their reason and control. And so, the guy materializes an energy scythe and attacks both of them at once. Tia appears and asks with a smile if he can't just finish them off. Our MC replies that she shouldn't make it sound so easy. Suddenly, the giant plant attacks again with its bizarre, toothy mouths. With a serious look, the guy realizes he needs to focus on the real enemy in the fight. From there, he spins his weapon and cuts the tentacles coming towards him. With a cold look, he shows he won't give up the fight so easily. And so, he continues the spinning attack and shreds all the creature's tentacles. But even after being cut, the pieces of the monster continue to move on the ground. With a serious look, our MC realizes he needs to stop the regeneration. Suddenly, the monster's pieces explode and prepare to attack again. From there, a shower of tentacles advances on him, and he defends with his scythe. The main body protects itself with the tentacles, and he sees that Soma is still inside. The guy realizes this is going to be a real pain to deal with, and goes for an aerial attack. And so our MC charges at full speed towards the giant monster's core. The creature, however, transforms its body into a drill and begins to spin wildly. With the rotation, a large vortex forms and the monster prepares to attack. The tentacles spin at high speed, creating an almost impenetrable defense. Fearlessly, our MC attacks the drill with his dark energy scythe. But the creature's force is immense, and he screams as he's thrown back by the impact. Even so, he doesn't give up and lands a powerful blow right in the middle of the thing. The creature uses its tentacles to create a shield and protect Soma in its core. Seeing that the monster won't go down, the guy prepares to attack with more force. From there, he delivers a final blow with his scythe, cutting the creature in half. The creature's tentacles are cut into several pieces by the energy scythe. With that, our MC continues the attack and says he's used to the pain. Faced with the blow, Soma is completely shocked, not understanding what's going on. Without wasting time, our MC continues to attack the monster with his scythe. Because of this, the creature lets out a horrifying scream of pure agony and pain. The guy backs off a bit and prepares for the next move in the battle. With a serious look, he realizes he needs a new strategy to win. Suddenly, Natsume grabs him from behind in a completely unexpected attack. With that, our MC is shocked to see that Soma is still conscious. From there, the other infected fall to the ground after being thrown away. He tries to break free from Natsume, but the infected is too strong for him. With no other choice, the boy uses his monstrous hand to attack his former comrade. Meanwhile, the other two get up and scream, ready to attack again. Faced with the situation, he knows he can't hesitate and needs to finish them. And so, he attacks Satori and Yagiaya with his energy weapon without mercy. With that, our MC backs off a bit to better analyze the situation. He observes his former colleagues, now transformed into uncontrolled monsters. Tia explains that even when cut from the main body, they still maintain their form. His hand holds one of the monster's pieces, which is still twitching nonstop. With that, she says it's impressive that it can do this with multiple bodies. The demoness then asks why he's holding them back since it's no use. She warns that there's no turning back, and he replies with a dark look that he knows. Meanwhile, the monster's main body begins to bubble in a very strange way. Tia accuses him of contradicting himself and says their end is one and the same. In a scream of fury, he replies that he knows full well how this is all going to end. The demoness then says she'll never be able to understand human emotions. From there, the guy takes on a more monstrous form and charges at the thing. Before him, the monster reveals itself completely, showing Soma inside. With a close-up on Soma's face, we see that he is trapped inside the creature. The purifier cracks a bizarre smile, showing he's already been taken over by the virus. Without wasting time, the monster lunges with its tentacles at our MC. The creature's claws pierce through Otori's and Natsume's chests without the slightest mercy. With that, the two are lifted into the air as the guy watches the scene in shock. He is speechless and wonders what the heck the creature is doing to them. Our MC questions if the monster is making its food more active, but Tia appears and says with a serious look that's not what's happening at all. Suddenly, the bodies of the two infected begin to wither as if they were being dried out. With a surprised look, he realizes something very strange is happening. The demoness then reveals that the creature is actually devouring the two infected. With that, the monster absorbs the power of its former comrades and gets stronger. Our MC is confused and asks what she means by all that. He wonders if the monster's food isn't the carrier's own comrades. With a malicious smile, Tia denies it and says they are not comrades in any way. The demoness then begins to explain how a virus carrier's mind works. She reveals that low-level carriers are idiots and don't follow the rules. Hearing the explanation, our MC understands that the virus in the infected is the food. The purifier's bodies wither completely as they are absorbed by the monster. Tia confirms that for a carrier, a body full of virus is an excellent meal. With that, the creature continues to absorb the infected with a bizarre smile on its face. The demoness concludes that for the creature, its food supply is ever growing, and that's incredible. Our MC gets furious at her coldness and yells that there's nothing incredible about it. With a serious look, Tia says the most efficient food source for them is humans. Fed up with hearing it, he yells at the demoness to just shut up. From there, the purifiers' bodies dissolve into a sinister pink smoke. In the distance, Nagato cries, hugging Hatakeyama's body, completely devastated. Our MC looks back and sees the heartbreaking scene with a sad look. Before them, the monster's tentacles writhe in the air, ready for a new attack. With a look of pure determination, our MC prepares for the final confrontation. And so the creature's mouths open and prepare for an all-out attack. From there, the monster lets out a horrifying roar and lunges at the guy without hesitation. Without hesitation, our MC charges at the thing with his energy scythe. The creature retaliates with a shower of tentacles that attack from all sides. Even surrounded, the guy yells and continues to fight with everything he has. With a clean blow, he manages to cut one of the creature's tentacles. The tentacle dissolves into a bizarre liquid when hit by the weapon. Even so, he continues to advance without slowing his attack. From there, he spins his scythe in a whirlwind to defend himself. Faced with the situation, he realizes his energy weapon is useless against the monster. Because of this, he plunges the scythe into the creature's core, which lets out a scream. The guy screams in pain, feeling the full force of the monster's pressure. And so, the thing retaliates and impales him with two sharp tentacles at once. With that, the creature lets out a horrifying shriek, showing the fight isn't over. A red energy explosion then engulfs the entire battlefield. The dust settles and a dense smoke covers the area after the powerful attack. Through it all, our MC appears, panting but still standing in the fight. On the ground, the pieces of the creature's tentacles continue to squirm nonstop. Even cut from the monster's main body, they still move as if they were alive. With that, our MC materializes an even larger and more powerful energy scythe. The monster, with Soma inside, stares at the new weapon with an expression of pure shock. With red eyes, he yells that it won't be easy. But he won't be devoured either. From there, the creature attacks with several stakes that erupt from the ground, surrounding the guy. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appears and dodges one of the monster's attacks with agility. This person creates a blue energy sword and attacks our MC, who defends the blow. With a serious look, the guy faces the creature, which continues to scream from inside the monster. Without wasting time, he uses all his strength to push back the tentacles and clear a path. Right after, the mysterious figure attacks the monster with several blue energy blows. Seeing an opening, the guy runs through the tentacles to get close to the core. Inside, Soma gets a look of pure terror, seeing what's about to happen. And so, the creature opens its core and prepares for an all-out attack. With that, his attack and the mysterious figure's attack collide in a gigantic explosion. The explosion destroys several buildings and leaves a trail of destruction in its wake. Amidst the chaos, our MC leaps and prepares for the next attack. With a bleeding mouth, he shows he won't give up the battle so easily. And so, he is enveloped by the monster's tentacles, which try to crush him. But with his monstrous hand, he manages to hold back the creature's attack. From there, he uses the tentacles to propel himself towards the core. The mysterious figure's blue weapon appears and attacks the creature relentlessly. With that, the monster is hit head-on and the combined attack causes an explosion. The guy then uses his monstrous hands to rip off the thing's tentacles. The creature writhes in pain, but he doesn't stop the attack and continues to fight. With that, he opens a path and runs towards the exposed core. The monster regenerates and takes on an even more bizarre and dark appearance. With a disdainful look, the guy prepares for what's coming next in the fight. Before him, the creature reveals itself completely, ready for the final showdown. The monster's eyes spin and focus on the guy, showing he is the only target. Yajiaya continues to scream in pain as she is controlled by the giant monster. Nagato and Hatakeyama remain on the ground, unable to do anything to help in the fight. The creature then turns and realizes the two purifiers are vulnerable. Without wasting time, the monster lunges with its tentacles at the two of them. Our MC is shocked to realize they are about to be attacked again. The blow hits the ground squarely, raising a cloud of dust and debris. But the mysterious figure manages to save Nagato and Hatakeyama at the last second. The monster attacks again, but our MC bats the tentacle away with his body. The mysterious figure then attacks the creature with its blue energy sword. From there, the monster focuses its attack on Yajiaya, who is trapped in the tree. Faced with the situation, the guy yells that there's no way he's letting that happen. With a worried look, he runs to try and stop the creature's attack. And so, he manages to cut the tentacle that was heading for the girl. The monster, however, attacks him from behind, and he is shocked by its speed. With that, he is hit head-on and his arm is pierced by the thing's claw. The guy is dragged across the ground with absurd force and can't break free. One of the tentacles regenerates and returns to its original form on the battlefield. The creature then lets out a horrifying shriek and prepares for the next attack. Our MC complains that the thing's regenerative power is a real problem. Tia scolds him for protecting useless people and wasting the final blow. With an annoyed look, He tells the demoness to shut up and focuses on the fight. With that, he says he's never seen a carrier like that and needs a plan. He wonders if the monster is a plant that sucks nutrients straight from the ground. Faced with the doubt, he questions how the heck he can defeat a creature like this. The demoness explains that the miasma around the creature can repair the damage. She says the easiest way is to hit it until its regeneration limit is exhausted. With a serious look, Tia warns that it's too early for him to face mid-level carriers. From there, she suggests he ditch the baggage and run for now. With a determined look, the guy faces Nagato and Hatakeyama and says he's not going to perish. He then adds that if he goes down, the sister he's trying so hard to protect will too. With a serious look, Tia asks if he's asking her to eat him. Our MC replies yes without hesitation and faces the demoness with determination. Tia refuses, saying it's the second time and it would be too much for him. The guy then says he joined a carrier to be able to save Mayo at any cost. In a flashback, he appears all depressed next to little Tia in his room. He reveals that he's even had to finish off former humans to survive the chaos. But he adds that abandoning his friends is not a choice he will make. Tia gets annoyed with his stubbornness and says she'll eat him since he insists. Suddenly, a red energy begins to manifest violently in his body. With a malicious smile, the demoness says she's annoyed and will take a little more. And so, she hugs him tightly and begins to suck his life force without mercy. The guy screams in pure pain, feeling his body being consumed by the creature's hunger. Before them, the monster lets out a shriek as if it's afraid of the power. With that, our MC continues to scream as the power flows through his body. From there, a red energy explosion envelopes them both in an epic scene. The energy explodes, and the creature faces our MC with an expression of pure terror. With a smile, Tia calls him a weakling and yells for him to finish the creature off already. With that, our MC prepares for the final attack with his eyes glowing red. From there, the guy unleashes a red energy explosion that cracks the entire ground. Without wasting time, he fires a beam of energy that hits the creature head-on. From a distance, Nagato watches the scene shocked, while Tia seems pleased with the result. Our MC screams as the red energy consumes his body completely. The creature is hit by a shower of blue and red energy spikes. The monster lets out a scream of pure agony, feeling the pain of the combined attack. The creature tries to defend itself with its tentacles, but it's too late. Faced with the situation, the ground explodes with the force of the released energy. The dust settles, and our MC faces the smoke with a cold and determined look. The monster tries to flee underground, but the guy isn't going to let that happen. He yells that he won't let it escape and prepares for the final blow. With that, he unleashes a final attack with energy spikes that erupt from the ground. With that, the monster is impaled by several red energy spikes that destroy it. From a distance, Tia whistles with a smile, impressed by our MC's power. From there, the creature's core is completely annihilated by the energy explosion. The creature lets out a final shriek of pain as its body begins to bubble and fall apart. And so, the monster's remains begin to dissolve into a bizarre puddle on the ground. Shortly after, the creature explodes in a cloud of purple smoke and disappears for good. With a malicious smile, Tia says the creature's escape attempt was completely useless. Our MC states that a mid-class virus can't escape from a high-class one. He stares at his monstrous hand as the last piece of the monster trembles on the ground. With that, the creature's miasma gathers at a single point and forms a shining crystal. Tia explains that the other parts are useless, and that he can feel the miasma better now. The guy is confused by the new sensation and stares at the crystal, not understanding a thing. Suddenly, Soma's face appears and begs for help in a voice of pure desperation. Our MC is in shock and his transformation begins to regress instantly. The demoness, however, warns that it's just an imitation of the person it absorbed. The demoness warns with a cold look that the owner of that face no longer exists. With gritted teeth, he refuses to accept the cheap imitation of his friend. In a scream of fury, the guy gets up from the ground, ready to end it all. With that, he attacks and yells for the creature not to dare tarnish the memory of his friends. The last piece of the monster lets out a shriek of pain as it's hit by the blow. And so, our MC unleashes his fury and destroys the rest of the creature. After the fight, he feels a strange pain and clutches his arm tightly. With his face contorted in pain, he realizes something is changing in his body. He then looks at his hand and sees a shining blue crystal that the monster left behind. Completely exhausted, the guy stares at the crystal, not understanding what it is. From a distance, little Tia observes him with a serious and interested look. The demoness warns that he is getting closer and closer to becoming a full carrier. In the guy's hand, the light blue miasma stone glows with a bizarre energy. Suddenly, a dark energy begins to emanate from the stone and envelopes him completely. Because of this, he loses his strength and falls to the ground, leaning against a tree. Our MC spits blood as his body begins to return to normal. Nagato turns and observes him with a worried and very suspicious expression. The purifier remembers the bizarre transformation and the guy's absurd power. After everything, he passes out completely and falls to the ground, drained of all strength. Hatakeyama calls her name, pulling the captain from her deep thoughts. He points to Yagi and says they need to restrain her as soon as possible. The captain agrees but still seems very shaken by the whole chaotic situation. Suddenly a dark aura begins to emanate from our fallen MC's body. The energy transforms into a shadowy figure that moves in complete silence. The shadow appears behind the purifier, who senses the danger and is startled by the presence. With that, she is hit head-on by a red blur at extremely high speed. The blow causes an energy explosion that kicks up a huge cloud of dust. The dust settles, and the guy's silhouette remains standing in the middle of all the smoke. From above, he is surprised and says he thought he had already finished her off. Nagato recognizes the voice and asks who he is because he can't be a 6th class. Before the purifier, our MC takes on a form of dark armor. Tia reveals herself and warns that the host is tired, and she's taking over. Nagato is in shock and asks if he is a carrier of the monster's virus. With a malicious smile and sharp teeth, Tia confirms she is a carrier and asks what the problem is. With a face full of anger, the purifier prepares for what's coming next. With a serious look, Tia thinks that, as she imagined, she can't ignore the purifier. The demoness says she's not like Taino and that her eyes carry a deep hatred. Nagato yells that he is parasitizing a 6th class and asks what he wants. Tia corrects her, saying it's a symbiosis and that she gives him strength to fight. The purifier yells that a symbiosis with a carrier is simply impossible. With a smile, the demoness says she doesn't care what the purifier thinks. She snaps her fingers and warns that it would be a pain to have to leave her alive there. From there, Tia materializes an energy scythe and prepares for combat. With a serious look, she warns that even though she's not at her best, she will attack. And so, Tia yells that she's going to finish the purifier off and unleashes her energy. Nagato is shocked and yells that this has to be a sick joke. She tells Hatakeyama she's leaving Yagi with him and charges at the enemy. The girl, now transformed into a monster, stares at her with a completely empty gaze. The former purifier is nothing but a shell controlled by the evil virus. Suddenly, the device on her wrist starts beeping in a very strange way. She realizes something is very wrong with her enemy. Her eyes glow with a purple energy, and she glares at the creature with fury. A dark and powerful aura begins to emanate from the elite purifier. The meter shows a combat power of 5,844. With that, she prepares to use all her power at once. The purifier yells that this is completely unacceptable for her and her team. She slams her sword into the ground with a force that cracks the entire earth. And so, she charges forward and yells that the creature has crossed the line. Her blade glows with a blue energy, ready for intense combat. Faced with this attitude, Tia says she's glad she revealed herself as a carrier. The demoness looks at the purifier with a purely mocking smile. From there, Nagato unleashes a golden aura and yells that she will purify her. Her power explodes with an intensity that illuminates the entire forest. With that, the purifier fires a shower of golden energy attacks. The blows head towards the demoness with absurd speed. Tia, however, manages to block all the attacks with her energy weapon. The collision of powers creates an explosion of sparks and a lot of light. Elsewhere, our MC begins to wake up slowly and groans. He feels the effects of the battle on his body and the pain of the transformation. He looks around and finds himself in a strange and completely bizarre cave. Before him, a pink portal floats in the air, leaving him very confused. The portal shows Captain Nagato fighting, and he wonders against what. He doesn't understand how he's seeing the battle from so far away. Seeing the scene, the purifier yells that there's no way she's going to lose the fight. Her expression shows the pure fury of someone who doesn't accept defeat. He wonders if it's with him, and Tia appears, asking if the guy is awake. She warns that she just borrowed his body, and he doesn't understand a thing. With a smile, the demoness reveals that she's going to get rid of that purifier once and for all. The guy is in shock, but the creature says it's not her fault. After all, she explains that the purifier came at her with the intent to take her out. And so, the demoness says the girl is too much for him and that she'll take care of everything. With that, she tells our MC to stay quiet and just watch the fight. From there, the creature floats with its dark energy, and he yells for her to stop. Even trapped, the guy continues to scream the demoness's name in desperation. Suddenly, a bizarre red energy mouth appears in the middle of nowhere. He yells Tia's name again, unable to do anything to stop the fight. Meanwhile, Nagato attacks the demoness with a shower of golden energy blows. Tia, however, compliments her for fighting well even though she's about to cry. The purifier glares at the creature with a look of pure hatred and determination. With that, she yells that she doesn't want to be complimented by a carrier and charges forward. But the demoness stops her sword with one hand and taunts her with a smile. Right after, Tia attacks with her energy scythe at the purifier. The creature's scythe slams into the ground, and the purifier barely manages to dodge. With that, Nagato dodges the red energy blast that just grazes past her. Without hesitation, the elite purifier twists in mid-air and prepares a counterattack. She then unleashes a blast of blue energy that heads straight for the demoness. Witnessing the scene, Tia is surprised and wonders what kind of energy that is. The attack lands a direct hit on the young man's possessed body, sending him flying. With the impact, the creature cries out in pain, and an energy sword materializes in the air. From there, the purifier charges at the enemy with her golden weapon. And so, the two powers collide in an explosion of blue and golden energy. Nagato wastes no time and prepares a new attack, spinning her body with agility. With a determined look, she swings her sword with all the strength she has. The golden energy strike advances, and the demoness faces the attack with a mocking expression. With a wicked smile, the creature says it's a shame and that the attack won't work. Because of this, a dark energy begins to swell in our MC's chest. Right after, spikes erupt from his body, and Nagato tries to attack again. With that, a shower of red energy spikes rushes towards the purifier. Facing the attack, Nagato meets the threat with a look of pure determination. Her sword, however, is stopped by the demoness's weapon, which hardens instantly. With a wicked grin, Tia says she was just trying to make her weapon a little harder. The purifier and Hatakeyama are left completely in shock by the creature's power. Even so, Nagato doesn't give up and attacks again with a powerful and precise strike. The demoness then warns that she's going to get a little rougher, and clenches her fist tightly. With gritted teeth, the elite purifier shows she's at her limit. From there, an explosion of red energy sends the girl flying. Seeing the scene, Hatakeyama screams the purifier's name in complete desperation. With the impact, Nagato hits the ground and starts coughing, too weak to continue. Suddenly, a locket falls from her neck and opens on the ground near her. The purifier turns and stares at the object with an expression of pure surprise. The photo in the locket shows a younger version of her with her smiling father. Seeing the memory, Nagato's eyes fill with a dark determination. The purifier remembers the image of her father and how he ended up like that. The scene then takes us to Taino's past, where he said he wanted to be a hero like his dad. The man gets flustered but proudly pats his son's head. With a smile, he says that if his son admires him that much, he's proud to be his father. Next, we see our MC's past, with his father yelling for him to run away with Mayo. The man fights with all his strength against the monster to protect his children. From the ground, our MC and his sister cry desperately, watching their father's sacrifice. Even all beaten up, he smiles and asks the boy to take good care of his sister for him. His eyes show the determination of someone willing to lay down their life for their family. From there, he throws himself off the cliff with the creature to give his children a chance. Our MC then screams in agony, watching his father sacrifice himself right in front of him. Back in the present, the image of the purifier's father appears in her mind again. With her fist clenched on the ground, she is filled with a new and dark determination. The purifier gets up and faces the creature with a look of pure fury and hatred. Facing the demoness, she prepares to continue fighting with everything she has left. Our MC yells for Tia to stop and warns Captain Nagato to get out of there. The creature ignores him and taunts the purifier for fighting to protect her family. With that, she continues the provocation, saying the girl can barely protect herself. Because of this, our MC screams in pain, feeling the demoness's influence. With an annoyed smile, Tia says that his attitude is just making her angry. And so, the creature prepares to finish off the purifier once and for all. From there, Tia says goodbye to the girl and prepares her final blow with a smile. Lying on the ground, the elite purifier braces for the impact of the final strike. Suddenly, our MC screams and struggles to regain control of his body. Witnessing this scene, the purifier stares at the creature with a surprised and confused look. The demoness's strike stops just inches from the elite purifier's face. From inside the monster, the captain hears the young man scream the creature's name in fury. With a look of pure hatred, the demoness yells at him not to do it. From there, she realizes he has forcibly taken back control of his body. With a malicious look, the demoness asks if he's going to get in her way for that woman. The demoness taunts him, asking if it wouldn't be nice to get rid of another burden. Furious, our MC yells that was different, with little Tia right there beside him. With a look of pure hatred, the creature says that he's just a human after all. A memory of his father appears, and he yells that his son is a bearer of the virus. Back in the present, our MC remains in his dark armor form. The creature warns that he's on their side now, but the young man yells that he's human. With that, his willpower seems to push the demoness back with full force. Even so, he doesn't back down and faces the creature with all his determination. With a cold look, he warns that he'll never forgive her if she hurts his friends. The demoness meets the threat with a look of pure boredom and total disinterest. From there, the armor begins to fade, and he collapses to the ground, completely exhausted. Nagato runs and manages to catch him before he hits the ground hard. Tia then tells the elite purifier that she needs to tell her a little something. She warns that even if he passes on, she won't disappear and will get stronger without the restrictions. The demoness reveals that their lives were only spared because of our MC. She taunts him, saying that repaying a favor with vengeance is something she hopes humans don't do. With a cold and contemptuous look, The creature stares at the elite purifier. The demoness then scoffs at the word friends, while the infected girl screams in pure pain. And so, Yaji fires a blast of pink energy that shoots out from her own chest. Nagato is completely shocked to see that the attack was aimed at a tree. Tia reveals that she injected a bit of her virus into the girl to calm her down for a few days. A bloodstain appears on Yaji's back, and she falls unconscious at that very moment. With a smile, the creature says not to take it personally and prepares to leave. The scene shows the battlefield with Soma's broken glasses on the ground. A memory of the happy team flashes through Nagato's mind, leaving her completely devastated. Her eyes fill with a deep sadness as she sees what's left of her team. Hatakeyama runs with his axe while Yagi remains passed out against the tree. Our MC remains unconscious on the elite purifier's shoulder. With a look of pure fury, the captain seems to have made a very important decision. Sometime later, our MC wakes up in a bed and wonders where he is. As he sits up, he comes face to face with Nagato and is shocked to see her there. The elite purifier explains that this is her apartment, leaving him confused. The scene then shows the exterior of the building, and the young man seems to remember nothing. Suddenly he sees Tino and Hatakeyama and is surprised by their presence. With a smile, our MC realizes that they are there with them too. Tino asks how he's feeling, and the young man says he's fine and has no problems. The elite purifier then assures him that his secret is safe with them. With a tired look, Hatakeyama says they spent the night cleaning up the mess. He then puts out his cigarette and announces that the interrogation will begin now. On the windowsill, two little birds watch the scene, seeming quite calm about everything. The vice captain explains that the bearer they faced was mid-level, and the young man gets worried. Nagato approaches and asks him to tell them everything he knows about the monsters. With a furious look, the purifier yells and asks why he teamed up with a bearer. Tano, however, intervenes and says that the way she phrased the question is misleading. With a smile, he says that from now on, he will just call him Kaido. Our MC listens to the conversation with a calm smile, seeming quite relaxed. With that, Tino explains that the young man joined forces with Tia to cure his sister and asks Nagato to drop the hostility. Nagato gets all flustered and says that wasn't her intention, while Hatakeyama tells them both to calm down. The vice captain then calls out to Seiki-kun, who looks at him with an expression of pure surprise. Given the situation, Hatakeyama says he wants to meet the bearer, and our MC gets very worried. Suddenly, a dark and red energy explodes from the bed where the young man was sitting. From there, Tia appears in her full form, leaving our MC completely shocked. Nagato is terrified and open-mouthed, unable to believe the sudden appearance of the demoness. With a smile, Tia tells the purifier to relax and that she won't do anything to her. And so the vice captain steps in and reminds Nagato that they agreed not to attack. The elite purifier apologizes, still tense with the creature's presence. Hatakeyama then thanks the demoness for her help in transporting Yagi to the hospital. Tia, in her small form, says it was nothing, and the young man asks what will happen to Yagi. The captain explains that the girl is in an isolated medical facility at the Adachi branch. The scene then shows the facility building, located in the middle of a very dense forest. Tino explains that Yaji is officially deceased, and if they handed her over, she'd become a lab rat. Hatakeyama, however, says they don't have to do that and that they can get information. Given the situation, the demoness looks at everyone with a very sly and confident expression. She says she can suppress Yaji's symptoms, but the girl will perish in a month. Nagato becomes furious and yells that the creature infected our MC in the same way. With a smile, Tia says that he is her host, and that's why she keeps him alive. The elite purifier is completely shocked by the demoness's coldness. With a serious look, Tino says they need more information like that. From there, he wonders what the true purpose of the virus bearers is. With that, he questions whether what is happening is a large-scale invasion. He then wonders why on Earth they are attacking the human world. Faced with the question, Tia seems to think for a moment before starting to answer. Suddenly a purple energy explodes and her eyes turn red with pure terror. Seeing her reaction, our MC asks what's wrong with her. With wide eyes, the demoness stares into the void, completely terrified and silent. Suddenly, the demoness stares into the void and says it seems a top tier 1 has arrived. Elsewhere, a bearer complains about Tia and says she takes her responsibility way too seriously. With sharp, drooling teeth, the creature says it's hungry and needs to feed. With a wicked smile, the bearer looks at a crowd of people at a crosswalk. Taking in the sight, he says that 1 million people should make for a good snack. This is Crankheit, the 4th top-tier bearer, with simply absurd power. Back in the room, the young man asks what just appeared, and Tia reveals it's a top-tier bearer. With that, everyone in the room is completely shocked, with very serious expressions. Hatakeyama, however, says there's no reaction from the bearer detector. Tia points and says he's 10 kilometers away at Shibuya station, and Taino is shocked by the lack of a reading. The demoness explains that the virus hasn't leaked and is being contained, and the young man wonders if that's possible. With a smile, she says she's doing it herself right now, leaving him very surprised. The pollution is only detected when they don't control their hunger, but the top-tier ones don't let that happen. Suddenly, the device on Nagato's wrist starts glowing with a very strong blue light. She announces that there are reports of a tunnel in Shibuya, and that they need to go there now. With a serious look, Hatakeyama prepares for the mission ahead. He then wonders what the damage would be if a top-tier bearer went out of control. The demoness replies that in a few days, all of Japan would be completely devoured. With a cold look, Tia warns that they wouldn't be able to stop a creature like that. Hearing this revelation, Hatakeyama stands up while Nagato looks at him, very worried. The vice captain complains that he's going to need a bonus, and our MC wants to go too. Seeing this, the young man tries to get up, but his body is still weak and drained. With that, Nagato stops him and warns that he's in no condition to fight right now. Our MC gets desperate and tries to argue, but the captain doesn't back down. And so, she tells him that it's an order and that he must stay there and wait. Faced with the order, the young man falls to his knees completely defeated. Hatakeyama turns and says that he's precious and shouldn't fight in his condition. Because of this, our MC stays on the floor with an expression of pure frustration. The scene then takes us to Shibuya, where the team prepares for the new threat. Suddenly, Crankheit appears in the sky and descends towards the crowd. Crankheit arrives in the city and sees no sign of Tia, which makes him very annoyed. Without wasting time, he grabs a girl by the shoulder, who gets completely scared. The couple has no idea what's going on as the top-tier bearer stares at them from behind. With that, her boyfriend tries to push him away and asks him to leave them alone. Suddenly, a reporter approaches and asks if he has a minute for an interview. She compliments his outfit, but the bearer touches the girl's face, making her uncomfortable. He then turns around and tells the reporter to find someone else to bother. From there, the top-tier bearer starts following a man in a suit down the street. With his monstrous hand, he prepares to attack the guy from behind without him noticing. The man turns around frightened and yells, asking what the top-tier bearer's problem is. Terrified by the scene, the guy runs off and tries to hail a cab to escape. Right after, the pedestrian signal turns green, letting everyone cross. The bearer, however, stands still in the middle of the street with a very sinister look. Because of this, a car screeches to a halt, almost hitting him as he looks for Tia. The driver gets out of the car, furious, and yells for him to get out of the way. Suddenly, Mizuno appears and says she'll take care of the top-tier bearer for the driver. With a smile, the girl looks at the man, who seems quite smitten with her. The driver gets all flustered but tells her to get it over with. In a flashback, Mizuno is welcomed by her new team, who seem very concerned. One of the guys calls her newbie and yells, asking if she's listening to what he's saying. With a cold look, the top-tier bearer stares at the purifiers who have arrived. The two guys then yell furiously, saying it's annoying that he's just standing in the middle of the street. Faced with their attitude, the top-tier bearer says he understands and that there are humans like them. The two purifiers are clueless and wonder what he's talking about. With a wicked smile, the creature says that liking or hating something isn't his policy. Suddenly, the purifier's meters go wild, showing a power level of 35,000. From there, a dark, purple aura envelops the top-tier bearer and the purifiers. With his hand on his face, one of the guys wonders what on earth is happening to him. Without wasting time, Crankheit grabs him by the face and lifts him into the air with ease. With a snap, the top-tier bearer crushes the purifier's head with a single hand. With a crack, the purifier's head is completely crushed by the bearer's hand. Without losing a beat, the creature lands a punch on the other guy with absurd force. Witnessing the scene, Mizuno is completely shocked, unable to believe what she just saw. With a wicked smile, the top-tier bearer says that this is quite a delicacy for him. The surviving purifier grabs him furiously and asks what the heck he did. Crankheit, however, retaliates with a blow that sends the guy flying. With the impact, the purifier's body falls lifeless to the ground and Mizuno is terrified. The bearer then complains that he ended up finishing them both off before he could infect them. From there, the crowd panics and starts screaming desperately at the scene. With a cold look, the creature reveals that he doesn't like others touching him. Hearing that, Mizuno is completely terrified and doesn't know what to do. And so, the screaming only gets louder, and chaos spreads throughout the intersection. Without hesitation, the girl draws her sword and prepares to fight the top-tier bearer. Terrified, Mizuno is frozen in place as he warns her not to even think about running away. With a wicked smile, the top-tier bearer reveals that he doesn't make a habit of eating leftovers. Back at the apartment, the scene focuses on the window as the conversation continues. With a smile, the demoness says it's time for a little chaos to happen, and the young man asks what the point is. Tia explains that the tunnels can't be created too far from them after the coordinates are set. With that, our MC understands that's why the portals only appear in Japan and not overseas. The demoness then reveals that for this reason, they need to expand their feeding grounds from the island. The young man thinks the expression is a bit of an exaggeration, but the creature simply ignores him and continues her explanation. And so, she says that if they want to expand, the low-level bearers don't stand a chance. Our MC finishes the thought, saying it's because of the purifiers who are always around. Given the situation, the young man realizes that although the top tier ones are patient, their time has come. With a dark look, Tia says that for mere humans, they are certainly quite arrogant. The scene then shifts to a destroyed city where Crank Height holds a girl in his arms. The woman screams in pain with purple marks on her face, and the bearer says the seeds have been planted. Soon after, a couple observes the city as the infection subtly spreads through the air. From there, an infected reporter appears on TV, and a sinister countdown begins. Because of this, even a guy inside a car has already been infected without even realizing it. With a snap of his fingers, a purple energy spreads throughout the city of Shibuya, and so, a woman transforms into a monster and attacks the man standing next to her. Even while being bitten, the guy flashes a bizarre smile and says she's expecting too much. From there, he throws her into the middle of the street while other people watch, terrified. Soon after, the infection spreads and another girl turns into a monster with red eyes. She attacks the driver of a car, who screams in desperation at the scene of pure terror. Because of this, the car is hit head-on by a truck coming towards them. Given the situation, a huge fiery explosion engulfs the entire intersection. Amidst the flames, several silhouettes of people begin to rise slowly from the ground. With that, the infected now look like zombies and wander aimlessly through the fire. Crank Height watches the whole scene with a wicked smile, full of sharp teeth. He stands in the middle of the chaos, surrounded by his new and massive horde of infected. From there, he reveals that he will expand his feeding grounds and wait for the prey. Because of this, the city turns into a hellscape, with entire buildings on fire and widespread destruction. In the streets, people run desperately as they are mercilessly hunted by the infected. A cameraman films everything in a panic, wondering what on earth is happening there. The scene is a true inferno with people on fire screaming in pure agony. In the midst of it all, Crank Height stands still, and the cameraman doesn't understand why. One of the infected runs towards him but suddenly vanishes into thin air. Witnessing the scene, the cameraman is completely shocked, not understanding what just happened. From behind, a mysterious woman with purple eyes asks what he is doing there. With that, the young man lets out a scream of pure terror at the sight of the dark and bizarre figure. The woman says she doesn't really care and attacks him without the slightest mercy or hesitation. From there, the broadcast is cut and the TV screen shatters completely. Back at the apartment, our MC watches everything on TV with Tia on the couch. Realizing that Crank Height is in the city, he gets up to go after the bearer. But Tia quickly makes a silencing gesture with her finger to stop him from leaving. Right after, red tentacles shoot out and wrap around our MC's body. He falls to the ground, tied up, as the demoness asks where he thinks he's going. Even tied up, the young man yells that he's made up his mind, and that he's going to finish that bearer. With a serious look, Tia warns that she won't let him go because he can't win. He yells that they can win if they work with the first-class purifiers. The demoness explains that if he goes there, the top-tier bearer will notice her presence. With his teeth gritted in anger, our MC realizes the situation is complicated. The scene shows the city in flames, and the young man seems to be losing his patience. He yells that even now, there are so many victims and that they have to do something. With a look of pure hatred, the demoness asks what the heck that has to do with them. Faced with the creature's coldness, our MC's anger only grows stronger. Suddenly, his cell phone starts ringing, and Tia glances at the device with disinterest. On the screen, the call is from Nagato, who asks the 6th-class purifier to answer. On the other end of the line, the captain reports that many people in Shibuya have become food. She says they are waiting to calm them down as they did with Yagi. The image shows the girl tied up and unconscious after the last battle. With a hopeful look, the young man asks if there's a way, and the demoness grabs the phone. With a bored look, Tia leans in, seeming very uninterested in the whole situation. Without hesitation, the demoness says it's impossible, and that she's not saying it to be mean. The demoness continues her explanation, saying that the virus's function is to multiply by destroying cells, and to suppress it is impossible without a huge power difference among the bearers themselves. With that, Nagato understands the gravity of the situation and hangs up the phone with a very serious look. Beside her, Tino turns with a confident smile and prepares for the battle that awaits them. In a hologram, he asks the president about the self-defense forces they requested. Kazuki shows a map of the city and announces the platoons are already on their way to the attack site. Nagato's house is nearby, and because of that, they can go to Shibuya from the east side of the city. Tino warns that unfortunately, the infected have gone mad, and there's no way to save them anymore. The president, however, says that the public would treat it as a mass killing without a second thought. Given the situation, Tino becomes furious and yells, asking if he even cares about something like that. Kuzuki says he can't let the association act before the self-defense forces arrive on site. From there, the team gathers, and Taino tells everyone that they will give it their all on the mission. He says he'll go ahead and asks the other two to focus on neutralizing all the infected. With that, Nagato and Hatakeyama prepare themselves as Taino's weapon glows with a blue energy. And so, the elite purifier leaps and unleashes a completely devastating energy attack. In the midst of the chaos, Crankheit notices something strange about the infected in the city. The number of infected isn't increasing as he expected, which leaves him very confused. Suddenly, the sound of marching boots echoes through the city's flaming streets. With that, the self-defense forces arrive, and one of the soldiers yells that they need to secure an escape route. One of the guys reports that tear gas and tranquilizers aren't working on them. One of the infected gets caught in a net but continues to struggle furiously. Another infected leaps and lets out a horrifying roar, showing that the net won't hold it. Without wasting time, the creature attacks one of the soldiers with a shield, who screams in pain from the blow. The other soldiers fire relentlessly, but the infected continue to charge forward. Another infected gets caught in the net and thrashes about, trying to break free at all costs. Given the situation, the soldiers scream in desperation, not knowing how to stop the horde. Watching the scene, Crankheit comments that these are the soldiers of this world. With a look of disdain, he says he doesn't want them to bother him and unleashes his energy. One of the soldiers senses the danger and yells that there's an enemy attack coming from behind them. From there, the top-tier bearer summons a horde of bizarre monsters to attack the soldiers. The soldiers panic, and one of them screams in desperation upon seeing the virus bearers. One of the wolf-like creatures is hit dead, but doesn't even feel the shots. The entire troop is completely terrified, not knowing how to react to the attack. Right after, another monster charges, and the bullets have no effect on it. In a close-up, we see that the projectiles simply ricochet off the creature's skin. It becomes very clear that normal weapons are completely useless against these things. From there, the monsters begin to attack the soldiers, who don't stand a chance. Suddenly, one of the guys yells as he notices a mysterious light coming from the sky. Seen from above, Tino Yusei descends with full force and unleashes a blue energy attack. The energy hits one of the creatures dead on, causing a devastating explosion. From the ground, the other monsters look at the attack, surprised by the purifier's arrival. The light from the strike illuminates the buildings, showing the scale of the first-class purifier's power. Taino's attack is a true weapon of mass annihilation and destruction. With that, the energy lights up the entire city with a simply absurd blue glow. The surviving soldiers look up, relieved that help has finally arrived. In the face of it all, Tino Yusei appears with his weapon in hand, ready for battle. He warns that he won't let a virus run rampant, spreading the disease around. With a serious look, the elite purifier yells that he will purify it once and for all. Crankheit, however, flashes a wicked smile and says he's caught new prey. And so, Tino announces he'll take care of him and orders the civilians to be evacuated. One of the soldiers yells that he got the message, and the troop begins to clear the area. With that, the elite purifier prepares for the one-on-one confrontation to come. The creature then asks mockingly if the young man knows he's not human. He questions if the elite purifier has ever seen someone like him before with a smile. Taino's weapon glows with a blue energy, and he remains unfazed by the taunt. Without wasting time, he charges forward and yells that he has no intention of talking. The top-tier bearer, however, creates a purple energy shield to defend against the blow. With gritted teeth, the elite purifier continues the attack with all his might. From there, the shield shatters into several pieces from the force of the sword's impact. Witnessing the scene, Crankheit is completely shocked, unable to believe the purifier's strength. With a mocking look, Taino says the bearer is much weaker than he expected. Right after, he charges forward and yells for the creature to take his most powerful strike. Crankheit, however, raises his monstrous hand to try and defend against the attack. His hand is enveloped in a purple energy and begins to crack from the force of the blow. The top-tier bearer says it's too soon for that and tries to stop the blade with his hand. With a confident smile, Tino replies that it isn't and continues to push his sword forward. The strike hits Crankheit squarely in the chest, who looks at him with a surprised expression. With the impact, the top-tier bearer's hands begin to burn from the blue energy, and so, Tino leaps and delivers a strike that cuts through the air with absurd force. From there, the creature falls onto a truck, which is crushed under the weight. The top-tier bearer's arm is completely shattered but begins to regenerate with a purple energy. From atop the truck, he gathers a dark energy in his hand for a counter-attack. Witnessing the scene, the elite purifier faces him with his flaming sword, ready to fight. Suddenly, Crankheit charges forward with absurd speed, becoming a purple blur. Taino is completely shocked by the speed and realizes he's incredibly fast. Crankheit appears from behind and grabs him by the neck with a dark energy. The villain says at this rate, he'll end up infecting the elite purifier. A purple stain spreads as the threat of contamination lingers in the air. With a serious look on his face, Tino prepares to counter the surprise attack. He then apologizes and unleashes an energy explosion that sends the bearer flying. With the impact, Crankheit is hit dead on and is shocked by the force of the blow. Tino taunts him, saying he's not so tough and that he looks like a real mess now. The villain's body is completely burned and destroyed by the power of the attack. Lying on the ground, the bearer glares at the purifier, who is already preparing to attack again. Without wasting time, Tino charges at high speed to continue his assault. From there, the two clash in an exchange of blows with blue and purple energies. With that, Crankheit fires a blast of energy at the elite purifier. Even with his body destroyed, the villain says his regeneration isn't infinite. Tino yells that he'll keep hitting him until his body breaks and reaches its limit. With a mocking smile, the bearer warns that none of that is possible for him. At that moment, a helicopter appears in the sky amidst the smoke and fire of the city. The scene shows the helicopter flying over the city, which is a true inferno. From inside, a reporter and his cameraman narrate the chaos, shocked by the destruction. The fight is broadcast, and the reporter says the elite purifier is fighting someone. He corrects himself and yells that the enemy is the one who turned the city into this hell. The scene shifts, and the fight's broadcast is watched by many people in a district. Two girls comment that the fight is super intense as the crowd watches. In another district, a guy is open-mouthed and wonders if this is even real. A mother and her son elsewhere cheer for the elite purifier to win the fight. Back at the apartment, our MC watches everything on TV, very worried about Tino. He remains tied up upside down by Tia's tentacles, who is relaxing on the couch. Meanwhile, in Shibuya, a huge fiery explosion occurs in the middle of the battle. With that, Crankheit uses his dark power to lift a car and throw it. Given the situation, the elite purifier prepares to counter the villain's attack. The car flies towards Tino, enveloped in a very sinister and powerful purple energy. Effortlessly, he slices the car in half with a single strike of his energy sword. From there, the elite purifier charges forward and cuts the car with his energy sword. But Crankheit lifts several other cars with his dark power and throws them at him. Tino, however, is not intimidated and cuts through all the vehicles with incredible speed. With a look of pure determination, the elite purifier continues to advance without stopping. He then unleashes a shower of blue energy attacks that slice through everything around him. The cars explode into several gigantic fireballs from the force of the strikes. Tino becomes furious and yells, asking if the bearer thought that would work. With a smile, Crankheit says that honestly, he's not very good at fighting with his own hands, and so, he lifts a giant bus and throws it with full force at the purifier. The vehicle flies through the air, enveloped in a purple energy full of dark power. Tino yells that it's useless and prepares to slice the bus with his sword. Without any effort, he cuts the vehicle in half with a single strike of his weapon. From there, the elite purifier charges through the inside of the bus to attack the top-tier bearer. His blade glows with a blue energy, and he won't stop until he eliminates the threat. With a spinning strike, he exits the bus and lunges at Crankheit with everything he's got. The elite purifier charges forward, and the two clash in an explosion of energy. Tino faces the top-tier bearer and says that the things he takes pride in are different. With a wicked smile, Crankheit reveals that his pride is his bottomless appetite. From there, he shows an infinite supply of virus in a gigantic building. Witnessing the scene, Tino is completely shocked, unable to believe it. With a mocking look, the top-tier bearer compliments the elite purifier's strength. And so, the massive virus charges towards the young man to devour him. Even tired, Tino says this can't be any fun and prepares himself. Without hesitation, he unleashes an energy explosion that engulfs the entire area. Seen from above, the explosion leaves a trail of destruction and a gigantic crater. Amidst the fire, the top-tier bearer remains standing as if nothing had happened. His look, however, shows a certain surprise at the power he just faced. Suddenly, Tino attacks again with a blast of energy that comes from above with full force. Inside the helicopter, the reporter yells excitedly at the turn of events in the battle. He celebrates that the elite purifier survived and is still on his feet to fight. People watch the fight on their phones and cheer desperately for the elite purifier. Throughout the city, the crowd cheers and chants Tino Yusei's name with great hope. Even a mother and her son hope that the hero can win the battle. Back to the fight, the elite purifier gathers a blue energy for a new attack. With that, he charges forward and delivers a powerful strike at the top-tier bearer. Crankheit, however, faces him and admits that the elite purifier is quite resilient. Given the situation, Tino yells that this isn't all he has to show in the fight. And so, the two clash again in an explosion of blue and purple energy. The top-tier bearer says it's a coincidence because he's going to fight seriously too. With a wicked smile, the creature unleashes its dark energy and prepares for the attack. Without wasting time, he approaches the purifier with his monstrous hand, full of power. From there, Crankheit fires a blast of energy that hits Tino dead on. The purple explosion is so large it can be seen from the sky and destroys everything around it. With the force of the impact, an entire building is completely destroyed by the energy. Even so, the elite purifier manages to dodge, and the bearer complements his speed, with his sword crackling with lightning. Taino prepares for the next attack with everything he has. From there, he unleashes a devastating strike that hits Crank Height squarely and without mercy. The top-tier bearer, however, mockingly asks if it isn't time for him to give up. With pure fury, Tino yells that there's no way he's giving up this fight. He yells that he's not fighting alone, because he has everyone's support behind him. Faced with this determination, Crank Height flashes a horrifying smile full of sharp teeth. With a purple aura, the creature says that the elite purifier is quite stubborn after all. Even so, Tino yells as he grips his sword with all the strength he has left. And so, a wave of dark energy hits him with full force, with no chance to defend. The top-tier bearer says with a cold look that he'll just crush him for good. From there, he uses his energy to pin Taino to the ground with absurd force. The elite purifier screams in pure pain, feeling the bearer's crushing pressure. With a wicked smile, the creature says goodbye and prepares to deliver the final blow. Seeing the scene, our MC screams the elite purifier's name in desperation. Suddenly, Crank Height notices something and looks up at the sky with a surprised expression. From the sky, Nagato descends with full force and unleashes a devastating golden energy attack. The top-tier bearer's hand is hit dead on, and he feels the pain of the blow. Witnessing the scene, the creature is shocked, and the elite purifier screams in pain. From a distance, Nagato looks at Crank Height's silhouette amidst the smoke and fire. With her golden sword, the elite purifier says that was a close call. With a confident smile, Tino says he's saving the spotlight for later. Suddenly, the device on his wrist starts beeping with an emergency call. On the other end of the line, a report confirms that the civilians have been successfully evacuated. The top-tier bearer's hand is completely burned, and he glares at Nagato with hatred. With a serious look, the purifier faces the top-tier bearer and calls him, "You." Crank Height then turns and asks if she is stronger than the elite purifier. With a cold and determined look, Nagato faces the villain and prepares to answer. The elite purifier says that's definitely what she'd like to say. Taino says he's fighting in the city, which is why he has heavy shackles on his arms. With a surprised look, the creature understands that this wasn't his full strength. With a surprised look, Crank Height faces the new threat that suddenly appeared. From there, he summons 3 bizarre creatures that look like wolves, ready to attack. Without hesitation, Nagato attacks the creatures with her golden sword and slices them in half. Witnessing the scene, the top-tier bearer is shocked to see his monsters defeated. And so, the purifier charges at him with full force, giving him no time to react. Taino thanks her for the nice assist, and she replies that it was nothing. With a look of pure determination, he prepares to unleash his full power. He yells that he won't leave a single piece of him behind and prepares for the attack. Lying on the ground, the top-tier bearer curses them both with a look of pure hatred. With that, a wave of blue energy descends with full force to finish off the villain for good. The elite purifier yells with all his might, unleashing his devastating power. Faced with this power, Crank Height has a look of pure terror, unable to believe it. From there, the energy explodes with a simply absurd and devastating force. The energy explosion engulfs the entire city with an annihilating power. From the helicopter, the news crew is open-mouthed at the scene they are witnessing. The reporter is completely shocked and yells, unable to believe what he's seeing. The dust settles, and the elite purifier remains standing in the midst of all the destruction. With a smile on his face, he turns and makes a victory sign for the camera. The reporter cheers and yells that the elite purifier gave the V for victory sign. The image on the TV shows the hero celebrating the end of the great battle against the villain. Because of this, the crowd goes wild and celebrates the purifier's victory. In the apartment, our MC sighs in relief while Tia remains silent. Seeing her reaction, the young man asks if the purifier was a close friend. The demoness, however, answers no in a very cold and indifferent tone. With pure fury, she reveals that he's the guy she hates the most and wants to take out. Faced with her answer, the young man is confused and asks what the problem is then. With a serious and dark look, the creature warns that it's not over yet. The scene shifts, and we see several red points of light shining throughout the city. Atop a structure, Mizuno observes the city with a very worried look. Soon after, the girl appears on her knees, looking like she's in trouble. Suddenly, Mizuno gets up with a purple energy and a very sinister look. The girl says she let her guard down and that the situation got really complicated. With her face covered in blood, she reveals that if she didn't have a clone, something bad would have happened. And so, she starts walking and prepares for what's next in the city. From the top of a building, the girl observes the city in flames with a serious look. With her eyes glowing and very hungry, she prepares to take action. She then reveals that she thought about leaving some as food, but that's no longer an option. With a purple aura and a scream of fury, she says she can't wait any longer. The dark energy emanating from her is so great that it covers the entire building at once. Back on the battlefield, Tino calls for Nagato to meet up with Hatakeyama. One of the surviving soldiers runs up and yells that the elite purifier was amazing. The soldier stares at the crater and the destruction with a look of pure astonishment and surprise. With wide eyes he says that the elite purifier's power is incredible. Suddenly the soldier gets a dark look and praises the city's destruction. With that, he throws his weapon to the ground and shows that he has been infected by the evil virus. Suddenly the soldier screams in pain and begins to transform into a monster. Tino yells for Nagato to protect herself with her special immunity and she obeys. The two elite purifiers then prepare for the new threat that has emerged. The now infected soldier lets out a horrifying roar, his eyes glowing red. With eyes red with pure fury, he charges at the two purifiers. Without hesitation, Tino slices him in half with his powerful blue energy sword. Witnessing the scene, the elite purifier realizes the soldier became food and perished. With a worried look, he wonders if the soldier was bitten by the infected. Nagato, however, says no and that this is something much worse than they thought. The elite purifier reveals that this can only be an airborne infection. With a scream of fury, Tino calls for the chief and prepares to give an order. He yells that they need to issue a code red throughout the city of Tokyo. On the other end of the line, the association chief seems very concerned about the situation. He looks at the city in flames and feels that something very strange is happening. Inside the headquarters, the other members of the association scream in pure terror. With the chief's order, the code red alert echoes throughout the city of Tokyo. But it's already too late, and the infection spreads with an explosion of purple energy. In Meguro Ward, a young woman receives the evacuation alert on her phone. Beside her, a girl is already screaming, consumed by the spreading infection. The dark energy transforms people into monsters with distorted faces. Screams of pure terror echo through the street as the virus takes over everyone. The same scene repeats in Minato Ward, with a mother fleeing with her son. They run away from a man who has been caught by the mysterious infection. As the two run to take shelter, the infected man throws chairs. He is completely out of control and dominated by the virus's fury. The mother manages to close the door in time and hugs her son tightly. Desperately, she screams, trying to protect the boy from the monster outside. On the other side of the door, the infected man bangs violently without stopping. He screams, enveloped in the purple aura of the disease that has completely consumed him. The little boy looks through the window and is shocked by what he sees. With a trembling voice, he calls out to his uncle, recognizing the creature in front of him. The creature now tries to break the glass of the door with its bare hands. The boy watches everything, frozen with fear, unable to do anything at all. The uncle's face is disfigured, and his eyes glow red. He is completely transformed, with nothing left of his humanity. The glass finally shatters into several pieces, and the boy remains paralyzed. The mother hugs him tightly to protect him from the coming attack. Suddenly, the scene shifts and shows Mizuno on top of a building with a sinister look. With her tongue out, she gives thanks for the meal with a horrifying smile. Right after, a person is thrown from the building at high speed. It seems the girl just fed on some poor soul without mercy. Her face now shows an expression of pure evil and satisfaction. She seems to be having a lot of fun with all the chaos in the city of Tokyo. With a bloodstain on her face, she looks out at the destroyed city. It's clear that Mizuno was not the nice girl everyone thought she was. Before the two elite purifiers, Mizuno's silhouette appears, gigantic and menacing. With that, Tino and Nagato charge head-on at the new and powerful enemy. With an expression of pure shock, Tino stares at the dark figure, not understanding the situation. He can't believe the girl he knew turned into this. With her eyes glowing purple, the former purifier stares at the two with a cold look. She then says a single word, revealing her sinister presence to them. Without wasting time, Nagato checks the data and confirms that this is Mizuno Kaho, a fourth-class purifier who was in our MC's unit. With a mocking smile, the villain's mouth appears in the darkness and taunts them. She says the two are very persistent, but the fun ends here. Hearing this revelation, Tino and Nagato are completely shocked and paralyzed. They can't believe the girl has become such a powerful bearer. With a sense of helplessness, the two feel the villain's crushing pressure. They realize that fighting this is simply impossible for them. Suddenly, the device on Tino's wrist starts beeping with an emergency call. On the screen, Seiki, Kun's name glows with a very strong red light. Back at the apartment, our MC screams Nagato's name in complete desperation. He watches everything on TV and fears the worst that could happen to them. Meanwhile, the two elite purifiers prepare for the battle of their lives. Nagato asks what's happening, and Tino gets ready to fight. With gritted teeth, the elite purifier faces the threat with pure determination. He knows this fight will be the toughest he has ever faced. And so, Tino unleashes a new red sword and tells Nagato not to worry. He says he'll take care of everything and that she should just provide support. With a look of pure evil, Mizuno says they just need to do one more little cleanup. She faces the two with a smile of someone who already knows she's going to win. From there, the villain warns that she's quite full and that this time, she'll finish them both off. Her look shows she's not kidding and is going all out. Faced with the villain's power, the two elite purifiers are completely terrified. They feel that the end is near and that there's nothing more they can do. The pollution meter shoots past 100,000, and Tino's sword glows with a red energy. The villain's power is simply absurd and off the charts. Back at the apartment, our MC hears the voice and yells into the phone. He desperately asks if Mizuno is there and calls for Purifier Nagato. With a look of pure shock, he doesn't understand why Nagato and the others are fighting her. The whole situation makes no sense to him. With a cold and calm look, Tia reveals the terrible truth to the young man. She explains that the top-tier bearer simply took over Mizuno's body. Hearing this revelation, our MC's eye widens in pure terror. He can't believe the girl who helped him has become a villain. Desperately, he turns to the demoness and asks if there's anything he can do. The young man refuses to accept that he can't help his friends. With a calm look, Tia warns that it would be impossible for him to do anything. The power difference between them is too great to overcome. Even on the floor, he yells that it's okay and begs her to tell him what to do. His desperation to save the girl is simply heartbreaking. With her teeth gritted in pure rage, the demoness shows she's losing her patience. The young man's insistence seems to be genuinely annoying the creature. With an annoyed look, Tia stares into space while the young man watches her from behind the couch. He remains tied up and completely helpless. From there, the demoness turns with a dark look and says she already said no. Her refusal leaves our MC with no hope of helping. Trapped in the corner of the room, the young man screams in pure frustration and hatred. He feels completely useless for not being able to do anything to help. A memory of Mizuno appears in his mind, with the girl crying and supporting him. She said he would one day be recognized as a purifier. He also remembers her promise to protect him until that day came. The girl's kindness left a very deep and special mark on him. Because of this, he grits his teeth hard and is filled with a new determination. The memory of Mizuno makes him want to fight even harder to save her. A memory of Taino appears in his mind, promising to help him with a smile. The elite purifier says that as long as it's not against his justice, he will help. With this motivation, he remembers that someone finally truly recognized him. Because of this, our MC uses all his strength to break free. Faced with his action, the tentacles holding him shatter into several pieces. At the sound, Tia turns around, completely surprised by the scene she sees. In a cry of pure fury and determination, the young man breaks completely free. The remains of the tentacles dissolve into a red and dark energy. With wide eyes, the demoness is completely shocked by his action. She didn't expect him to be able to break free from her bonds. Standing tall with his body crackling with energy, the young man yells with all his might. He says it's his turn to protect her now and that he won't fail. With a toothy grin, the demoness seems to be amused by the situation. Our MC's determination appears to have impressed the creature, and so, she extends her hand towards him with her red claws. The demoness seems to be offering her power to help him on his mission. Our MC's eye begins to glow with a bizarre red energy. The demoness's power starts to flow uncontrollably throughout his body. With both eyes glowing, he accepts the power to be able to save his friends. The transformation makes him even stronger and ready for the fight. Suddenly, he hugs her from behind with force, surprising her with his action. The young man seems to have a plan and needs the demoness's help for it. In a whisper, he apologizes for what he's about to do next. The demoness remains silent and seems to understand the young man's intentions. With a serious look, she says she never wants to fail again in her life. The creature seems to have been moved by her host's determination. The scene changes and a mysterious voice says they need more food. Taino's silhouette appears as the voice continues to speak to him. The voice reveals that the superiors entrusted them to manage the feeding worlds, and so, their mission is to find the most efficient way to feed. With a cold sweat running down his face, our MC is completely confused. The mysterious voice left him with absolutely no idea what's going on. Suddenly, he finds himself floating in a bizarre red space. The young man looks around, trying to understand where on earth he has ended up now. Before him, several bubbles float, showing scenes from an unknown place. In one of them, he sees the figure of Tia sitting peacefully in a tree. With a look of pure confusion, the young man calls out to the demoness, not understanding the scene. The image of her in that peaceful place makes no sense to him. With that, the creature turns and asks what he's looking at in an annoyed tone. She doesn't seem at all happy with his presence in that special place. Before he can answer, the young man plummets and falls right into another bubble. The unexpected dive catches him completely by surprise and without reaction. With his eyes wide with pure shock, he stares at the new scene unfolding. This place is definitely not the human world he knows. There, he sees small cute creatures playing in a river while Tia watches over them. The peaceful and tranquil scene leaves him even more confused. In the bubbles, he sees one of the creatures falling into the water and being saved by the demoness. With her power, she lifts it out of the river and safely returns it to the others. From there, he understands that he is seeing Tia's memories and observes her. In the scene, the creature guides the small beings through a beautiful, flowery field. With a serious and slightly annoyed look, the demoness faces the little creatures. Despite her stern face, she seems to care about everyone's safety. Next, the scene changes and she appears in a hut receiving a banquet. The little creatures offer her all sorts of food as a token of gratitude. To cheer her up, the small beings perform a super cute dance on a wooden stage. The demoness watches them with a serious look but seems to be enjoying it. With a serene look and a small smile, she watches the special performance. That moment of peace reveals a side of her he had never seen before. The scene ends with the demoness hugging one of the little creatures very affectionately. The cute image shows that she wasn't always the cruel creature he knew. Our MC continues to watch the memories and sees the demoness happy. She smiles along with the little creatures in a peaceful, flower-filled field. The scene shifts, and the demoness appears in a dark room before her superiors. Seen from above, she floats in a square of intense pink light. With a smile, she proposes a friendly relationship with the native species of that world. She believes a symbiosis is possible, and that they don't need to harm them. The mysterious voice, however, says there is no need for any of that. The cold and direct response leaves the demoness completely speechless. With a look of pure confusion and surprise, she doesn't understand the decision. The demoness stands aside, unable to believe what she just heard from her superior. The voice then reveals that they have found the ideal food for them in humans. Earth would be the new feeding ground, and the demoness is terrified. Desperately, she yells for them to wait and asks about the world she manages. The creature can't believe her home will be simply discarded. With a dark voice, the creature says they no longer need that place. The order is clear, and the demoness has no choice but to obey the decision. With a look of pure fury and hatred, the demoness glares at her superior's order. She then receives the final command to simply devour that entire world. The scene shifts, and we see the demoness on the ground, all beaten and defeated. It seems she tried to fight against the order but ended up losing the battle. A pair of legs approaches her as she remains fallen and powerless on the ground. The creature seems completely broken and without any hope of winning. Before her, Crankheit appears with a smile of mockery and pure contempt. He looks at her with the eyes of someone who knows victory is already his. Back in the red space, our MC watches everything in shock. He sees the top tier bearer asking if the demoness has reflected on everything. Lying on the ground and all wounded, the demoness asks what he is doing there. She didn't expect the top tier bearer's visit at that moment of weakness. With a smile, the top tier bearer reveals that he is there to make a report. He seems very pleased with the situation and with the demoness's defeat. With a wicked smile, he reveals that the flower crown is from the world she managed. He crushes it in his hand and says that was his feeding world. Lying on the ground, the demoness stares at the destroyed crown, and the villain reveals he has already processed everything. The memory of that place leaves her completely paralyzed with pure pain. With eyes red with pure hatred, the demoness's fury explodes all at once. She can't believe he had the audacity to destroy her home. A memory surfaces, showing the demoness with one of the little creatures in a flowery field. That was a place of peace and tranquility that she loved so much. Crankheit, however, scoffs at that world and says it was too small for him. With a smile, he reveals that it wasn't enough to fill him up. Our MC watches everything in shock and lets out a scream of pure terror. He finally begins to understand the true nature of the virus bearers. The villain's voice echoes, saying they just need to follow their desires and eat. The bearer's philosophy is simple and completely destructive and selfish. Faced with all this, he reveals that if they devour everything, they just need to hunt for more. Their cycle of destruction is endless and has no apparent end. With a look of contempt, Crankheit says this is the consensus among the bearers. The demoness remains on the ground, powerless to fight the villain. Even wounded and defeated, the demoness curses him with a look of pure hatred. She won't give up so easily and shows she still has a spark of fight in her. With a determined look, she says she would rather perish than have to eat like that. The demoness faces him and tells him to do whatever he wants with her right there. With a wicked smile, the top tier bearer warns that when the time comes, he will eat her food again, referring to our MC. From there, he turns and walks away, leaving the demoness behind on the ground. The purple energy he leaves behind shows the trail of his evil. Alone in the darkness, the demoness whispers an apology under her breath. She feels completely powerless and defeated in this situation. The scene connects the demoness's past suffering with our MC's pain. The two seem to share a destiny of struggle and great loss. Inside the bubble, our MC reaches out his hand and calls for the demoness. He seems to feel all the pain and sadness of the creature's past. Suddenly, he wakes up and grabs her arm forcefully without thinking. The creature is surprised and calls him by name, not understanding his action. With a look of pure hatred, the young man yells Crankheit's name. The memory of the villain has left him completely furious and beside himself. Witnessing the scene, the demoness realizes everything and asks if he read her memories. She seems very uncomfortable with the invasion of her privacy. Without answering, he squeezes her arm even tighter and stares at her. The young man calls her name again in a very serious and determined tone. Right after, he apologizes for seeing everything without her permission. The creature looks at him in silence, seeming to process the information. With a small smile on her face, she says she knows he didn't mean any harm. The demoness seems to understand that their connection was the cause of it all. She explains that the more memories they share, the stronger the connection becomes. He says it's fine but wants to talk about what she said at the hospital. A memory shows him yelling that she was a bearer just like the others. He accused her of being the same as the monsters that took his parents. Facing her, the young man says that the demoness is different from the other bearers. He seems to have changed his mind after seeing her memories. The creature looks away and asks if he knows that she eats humans. She tries to put herself on the same level as the other virus bearers. But the young man yells that she's not the same and that he saw the whole truth. He knows her story is much more complex than the others. With a sincere look, he says he understands why she saved his life. The creature is moved to see that he understood her dark past. The demoness closes her eyes, and a single tear runs down her face. Our MC's words seem to have touched her heart. But she hugs him and says it's no use because, in the end, someone else would devour him. The creature seems to have lost all hope for a happy ending. Our MC, however, looks at her and says that even so, she chose him. He reminds her that the decision to be together was hers in the end. Hearing those words, the demoness is completely surprised and speechless. Her look shows that the young man's confidence caught her off guard. With an aura of energy, the young man yells that together, they can definitely win. He believes their union is stronger than any enemy. The memory of the flower crown appears, and she remembers his words. The idea of betting on a different future seems to ignite a flame within her. With a mocking smile, the creature tells him not to get too full of himself. She pretends she only wants the food for herself, and doesn't care about him. With a smile, the young man says he knew she would say something like that. He seems to understand her way of hiding her true feelings, and so, he gets up and says he's going to fight Crankheit anyway. The young man warns that they need to defeat the top-tier bearer. He then reveals that with the villain's miasma stone, they can cure Mio. The hope of saving his sister is what drives him into battle. The demoness, however, gets worried and asks what happens if he doesn't make it. She shows a hint of concern for her host's safety. With a determined look, our MC yells that it's not going to happen. His confidence seems unshakable, and he doesn't accept defeat as an option. Facing her, the young man asks the creature to lend him her strength. He kneels in a gesture of respect and partnership for the fight to come. With a gentle touch, the demoness places her hand on his in a gesture of acceptance. She seems to agree to lend her power for the final battle. With a confident smile, our MC faces the new alliance they have formed. He knows that with her help, the chances of winning are much higher. Even so, the creature warns him not to get the wrong idea. She maintains her tough girl act and doesn't want to show her feelings. From there, the two seal the pact with a touch of hands full of energy. The partnership between the human and the demoness is finally complete and ready. The demoness turns and says that even if he hadn't asked, one day she would have taken him out. With a smile, our MC looks at her from behind, seeming very calm. He responds with a simple "all right," and the creature gets all flustered. The young man's calm reaction completely surprised her and left her at a loss for words. And so a red energy begins to emanate from our MC's feet. He prepares to head to the city and face the new threat. With that, the two are enveloped in the energy and prepare for battle. The demoness seems very pleased with her host's determination. Meanwhile, the scene takes us to the city with the purifiers' weapons on the ground. Mizuno watches everything from a distance with a dark and very sinister look. The villain warns that when the number of food sources increases, the nation won't last 3 days. She seems to have a wicked plan to take over the entire country. Given the urgency, the demoness warns that they'd better hurry to get there. Our MC agrees and prepares for the toughest battle of his life. From there, the now transformed young man arrives on top of a building. He observes the city in flames, ready to take action and save everyone. Without wasting time, he stumps hard on the edge and prepares to jump. The sound of the impact shows the absurd strength he gained with the transformation. With a cry of pure fury, he leaps from the building and swears he will destroy the villain. The red and black energy surrounding him shows all his hidden power. His eyes glow red, and he yells that they can't lose a second. The urgency of the situation makes him even more determined to win the fight. Like a bolt of red energy, he flies towards the building where the enemy is. His speed is simply absurd and not normal for a human. Shooen from above, he crashes through the roof of the building with simply absurd force. The fall creates a crater in the concrete and kicks up a cloud of dust. Inside, a woman is held by the villain and screams in pure terror at the scene. She seems to be the next victim of the top tier bear's insatiable hunger. But our MC lands in front of her to protect her from the villain's attack. He won't let anyone else get hurt because of that monster. With her purple eyes, the villain glares at our MC, who looks back with pure determination. Fully transformed, he shows not a hint of fear in the face of the new and powerful threat. Without wasting time, the young man charges forward and prepares an attack with his red energy. The strike hits the ground hard, but the villain manages to dodge at the last second. With that, the woman he saved is captured by a red energy tentacle. Our MC says the plan is to start by ripping the bearer out of Mizuno. The demoness warns that this is impossible, but he says he already understands the situation. From there, he purposely drops his cell phone on the ground to make the plan work. In his mind, a voice says that now he has something he didn't have before. On the device's screen, a call from his friends starts to glow intensely. With a shout, our MC gives the signal and tells them to act at that exact moment. Outside, the ground explodes with the arrival of unexpected reinforcements for the fight. Suddenly, Tino and Nagato appear and hold the villain with all the strength they have. The bearer is shocked and wonders how they are still alive after everything. Even wounded, the elite purifier yells for Mizuno to hang on just a little longer. With a cry of fury, Nagato unleashes all of her special immunity at once. Faced with the situation, the villain is shocked, feeling the crushing pressure of the blow. A memory surfaces showing a desperate fight against a very powerful enemy. From there, an energy explosion engulfs everything with devastating power. The top tier bearer screams in pure pain as she is hit head-on by the shockwave. And so, the two energies clash in a simply epic power battle. Lying on the ground, the top tier bearer groans in pain, completely wounded by the attack. Because of this, the villain yells furiously, saying they are getting on her nerves. Even wounded, Nagato says that, as expected, the bearers are their natural enemies. But she turns to Seiki-kun and says there are some exceptions to that rule. Tino holds Mizuno and tells the young man that this was just a warm-up for them. He yells that anything other than victory will not be forgiven under any circumstances. Hearing this, our MC yells and tells them to leave the bearer to him. With a look of pure hatred, the creature faces the new challenge that has suddenly appeared. With a wicked smile, he whispers the demoness's true name, which is Malaysia. With a cold look, our MC faces the new threat and confirms his presence. He knows the final battle against the top-tier bearer is about to begin. Suddenly, little Tia appears with a dark energy and faces the villain. She says he finally realized she was there all along. With a look of pure hatred, Crankheit asks why she is in his way. He questions if the demoness plans to side with the humans in this fight. With a furious look, the demoness yells that she is not on the human's side, but she warns that she is his enemy, and that she will wipe out his kind once and for all. Faced with this declaration, the top-tier bearer glares at her with a dark look. He warns that she has been his enemy for a very, very long time in this war. And so, he says he needs to remind her of the order they received. With a purple aura, the villain prepares to put the demoness in her place. The demoness, however, scoffs at the order and says they are 5th and 4th in the hierarchy. The revelation about the bearer's ranks makes our MC very tense. Without wasting time, Crankheit fires a ball of dark energy towards the two. He's not messing around and is going all out against his new enemies. With a mocking smile, the demoness says that his high position is only good for one thing. Without hesitation, she deflects the villain's attack with her own dark energy. The clash of powers creates an explosion of sparks and a lot of energy. With that, the demoness and our MC are thrown back by the force of the impact. The top-tier bearer's power is simply absurd and out of control. Witnessing the scene, the top-tier bearer is completely shocked and confused. He can't believe the demoness managed to counter his attack. With a wicked smile full of sharp teeth, the demoness reveals the truth. She says his only use is to expand their feeding grounds. From there, the top-tier bearer flashes a horrifying, toothy grin. He seems to agree with the demoness and the power hierarchy between them. Without wasting time, he fires another ball of dark energy with even more power. The battle between the top-tier bearers is about to get even more intense. Crankheit's attack creates a huge explosion of purple energy on the spot. Our MC and the demoness are caught right in the middle of all that power. After the dust settles, Tia and the villain glare at each other with hatred. The top-tier bearer taunts them, asking if they're afraid of becoming food. With his fury at its peak, our MC yells for the villain to try and eat him. His red eyes and horns show that the fight is about to get very serious. From a distance, the top-tier bearer who possessed Mizuno just grumbles at the scene. She seems to be watching the fight between the two very attentively. Suddenly, a purple energy falls from the sky right in the middle of their fight. The impact kicks up a cloud of dust and interrupts the confrontation. The one responsible for the attack was Mizuno herself. who runs with absurd speed. A dark aura surrounds her as she moves through the city. The trail of energy she leaves behind shows just how fast she is. The villain seems to be heading towards the other two bearers. From there, the purple energy forms a giant creature in the sky. With a cry, she warns the two not to get too carried away in the fight. Witnessing the scene, our MC and the demoness face the new threat. They realize the situation has become even more complicated with her there. Without wasting time, the young man charges forward with a red and dark energy. He won't let the villain interfere with his plans to finish off Crank Height. His monstrous hand glows with absurd power as he prepares for the strike. The transformation has given him a strength he never imagined he had. The attack advances like a red bolt towards the enemy in the sky. The energy cuts through the air with simply incredible speed. With a look of pure determination, the young man braces for the impact of the blow. He will not back down and will go all out against the new threat. And so, the strike hits dead on and causes an explosion of red energy. The power of the attack is so great that it illuminates the entire battle area. The force of the explosion is so great that the villain watches everything from below. The sky turns completely red with the energy released by the young man. Witnessing the scene, Crank Height is shocked and wonders if that is even a human. Our MC's strength seems completely unnatural to him. With a mocking smile, the villain says that he is simply himself. The young man's identity seems to be his greatest power in this insane fight. With a surprised look, Tia reveals that channeling power to the young man is getting easier. She realizes their connection has become even stronger after everything. Without wasting time, our MC charges towards a giant monstrous mouth. The creature prepares to devour him in one go without mercy. From the ground, the top tier bearer retaliates with a strike of purple and dark energy. The attack heads towards the young man with simply devastating force. With a wicked smile and sharp teeth, the villain shows he will not surrender. He goes all out against our MC without a moment's hesitation. From there, the young man materializes two sharp, red energy blades. The weapons glow with a power that reflects all his fury and determination. With a grunt of pain, the villain seems to be feeling the effects of the attacks. Mizuno's possessed body can't handle the crushing pressure of the battle. From the sky, the demoness unleashes a shower of red energy attacks on the villain. She won't let the top-tier bearer hurt her host again. With a look of pure fury and determination, she shows that the fight is personal. The demoness will not forgive what Crank Height did to her former world. The demoness's attack hits the ground squarely and sends the villain flying. The force of the impact is so great that it kicks up a cloud of dust. And so, the red and purple energies clash in an explosion of power. The top-tier bearer is hit dead on and can't retaliate in time. With a scream of pain, the villain seems to be losing control of Mizuno's body. The pressure of the battle is making the host weaker and weaker. Witnessing the scene, the demoness and our MC show that the power is now theirs. Their union has made them an unstoppable and powerful force. With that, they fire a final combined attack of red and dark energy. The strike heads towards the villain with simply annihilating force. With a mocking look, Crank Height says the young man's imitation is very good. The horde of monsters he summons seems ready to attack. From the top of a building, Tino and Nato observe the city in flames. Tino says that the 6th class purifier, Seiki-kun, will take care of everything. With a confident look, the two elite purifiers say they trust the young man. They know that our MC is the only hope of winning the fight. With a smile, the demoness says they'll be fine and our MC attacks. He destroys the villain's horde of monsters with a single powerful blow. Without wasting time, he charges forward and hits Crank Height with a devastating punch. The force of the blow sends the top-tier bearer flying. With his hands, he materializes two sharp, red energy blades. He won't give the villain a second of rest in this battle. The top-tier bearer becomes furious and says that humans are getting too carried away. He prepares to unleash all his power at once. With his teeth gritted in pure rage, the young man prepares for the next attack. The red energy surrounding him shows how strong he has become. Faced with this power, the villain is hit dead on and his body begins to bleed. Our MC's strike was simply devastating and very strong. With the final attack, our MC continues to beat the villain relentlessly. He won't stop until the top-tier bearer is completely annihilated. With a scream of pain, the villain realizes he can no longer counter the blows. He is completely overwhelmed by our MC's strength. The top-tier bearer's mouth is completely destroyed by the young man's punch. The villain had no chance to defend against the surprise attack, and so, the young man continues to hit without mercy, and the villain screams in pure pain. The red and purple energies clash in an explosion of power. With that, the final blow hits dead on and causes an explosion of red energy. The power of the attack is so great that it illuminates the entire battle area. Lying on the ground, the top-tier bearer groans in pain. Completely defeated, our MC has finally managed to win the toughest battle of his life. With his body all beaten up and covered in purple blisters, the villain remains on the ground. The dark energy surrounding him shows that the fight isn't over yet. Our MC faces the villain's final form, who lets out a horrifying scream. The creature prepares to unleash all its power at once. The impact of the scream is so strong that it shatters the windows of the surrounding buildings. The top-tier bearer's power is simply absurd and out of control. Witnessing the scene, the young man faces the creature with its dark, purple aura. He knows he'll need everything he has to win this battle. With a look of pure hatred, the demoness calls the villain a greedy monster. She prepares to help our MC finish the threat. From there, the creature's final form is revealed, with horns and a mask. The villain says he is finally showing his true nature. Soon from below, the creature looks gigantic and ready to crush our MC. The villain's size is simply intimidating and terrifying. With a smile, the demoness asks if the young man is scared, but he denies it immediately. Our MC's confidence is unshakable, and he will not back down. He stares at the purple gem on the creature's chest with a look of pure determination. He knows that is the monster's weak point and his ultimate goal. Faced with the threat, he reveals that the cure for Mayo is right in front of him. With his energy blades, he prepares to end it all. With a cry of fury, he says this nightmare will end right now. He charges at the creature with everything he has, without a hint of fear. And so, he faces the villain with a cold and determined look. The final battle between the human and the top-tier bearer is about to begin. With a look of contempt, the creature says he is nothing more than human bait. The villain tries to belittle our MC with his words of pure hatred. Without wasting time, the top-tier bearer attacks with an explosion of purple energy. The power of the strike is so great that it destroys everything around it with ease. With that, our MC is sent flying back by the force of the attack's impact. He didn't expect the villain to still have so much strength left. Our MC floats with his blades, and the demoness notices that his power has increased significantly. With a serious look on her face, the creature seems to agree with the assessment of the situation, but she adds that's all there is to it, and that the power difference is still huge. Before them, the villain's final form prepares to attack with everything it has. And so our MC manages to dodge the blow, and the villain charges again. With a smile, the demoness seems to be enjoying the battle. From there, the creature yells for him to eat this, and the young man unleashes his power. The strike hits the top-tier bear dead on, who lets out a hiss of pure pain. From a distance, the two elite purifiers watch the fight, completely shocked. Even all beaten up, Tino admits that this is definitely one hell of a fight. With a serious look, Nagato begins to explain how his power works. The more virus he can absorb for himself during the battle with his weapon. With that, he converts the virus into power to become even stronger in combat. From there, the top-tier bearer screams in pure pain from the impact of the blow. And so, he realizes that even with Malaysia, the young man uses her power freely. Given the situation, the villain realizes that the young man's immunity evolves based on their virus. With this, the creature concludes that he is like a god to them, adapting perfectly to the power. Unwilling to accept defeat, the top-tier bearer yells that it's impossible and prepares a final attack. From there, he fires a beam of dark energy with simply devastating power. Our MC, however, doesn't back down and prepares to face the blow head-on. The beam advances, destroying everything in its path with an annihilating and uncontrolled force. Given the situation, the young man yells that he will break through the barrier and runs into the attack. With that, an explosion of purple energy occurs as he enters the villain's beam. Inside, he continues to run with all his might, showing his determination to win the fight. Suddenly, his body begins to glow with a very intense and powerful red energy. And so a new transformation occurs and a mask appears on his face. Fully transformed, he prepares to unleash all of his new power at once. Without wasting time, he breaks through the beam with a punch that causes a gigantic explosion. The dust settles, and his silhouette appears amidst the light, showing that he succeeded. After everything, all that's left of the villain is his glowing purple miasma stone. With that, a blast of purple energy advances with simply absurd speed. Our MC roars with all his might, unleashing the power he just awakened. And so, the strike hits dead on and causes a devastating energy explosion. The dust settles, and the young man looks at the destruction, saying that from that moment on, he finishes, saying it doesn't matter what the enemy tries to do as Tia watches him. From the ground, the villain looks at the young man and understands that he will purify absolutely everything. With the miasma stone in hand, he and Tia yell that they will clean up everything at once. Because of this, the top-tier bearer's body begins to tear apart from the inside out. Right after, the energy sends him flying with no chance to counter the blow. Lying on the ground, our MC says the villain got what he deserved after all. From there, the top-tier bearer is completely shocked, unable to believe what happened. With a look of pure fury, the demoness glares at her old enemy with contempt. Given the situation, the villain calls her by her true name, which is Malaysia. He asks if she really planned to fight seriously alongside a god. With a look of pure hatred, the demoness glares at him in silence, full of fury. Tia faces the defeated villain and mockingly asks if he didn't see how it all ended. With a horrifying smile, the top-tier bearer shows his sharp teeth in a final act of defiance. In his last moments, he begs not to disappear and asks for help, calling himself her partner. But the demoness coldly replies that he is completely wrong about that. And so, Seiki-kun approaches and corrects the villain firmly. He says that Tia is actually his partner, not a monster's like Crankheit. Hearing that, the demoness turns her face away, completely flustered by the young man's declaration. It seems his confidence really caught her by surprise in the end. With that, the top-tier bearer's body begins to dissolve into a purple smoke. His time in this world has finally come to an end after the defeat. From there, the two watch the villain's remains completely disappear into the air. The purple smoke rises, marking the end of the toughest battle of their lives. Elsewhere, Tino is already waiting by the helicopter for evacuation. The mission in Shibuya was a success, but the cost was very high for everyone. An officer then reports that even after they leave, there's nothing to worry about. She assures them there is no longer any risk of infection in the city. President Kazuki is informed that everything worked out thanks to purifier Seiki. He is surprised to learn that a 6th-class purifier resolved the situation. Soon after, a press conference announces that the emergency alert has been lifted. The news reassures the population, who had been following everything with great fear. Because of this, the crowd goes wild and celebrates the news with great relief. Peace finally seems to have returned to the city of Tokyo. From a distance, Hatakeyama observes everything with a serious and very thoughtful look. He seems to be processing everything that happened in that chaotic mission. Our MC then wonders if a new threat has suddenly emerged. He is relieved that everything is resolved, but is still very worried. Nagato, however, replies no and that he is actually the hope of humanity. Her look shows that she has finally recognized the young man's true power. Our MC asks with a relieved look if the food has finally calmed down. With a mocking smile, the demoness confirms that it has and seems very pleased. We then see the infected who were captured and isolated in an energy web. The young man is confused because he remembers her saying they couldn't be calmed down. In his mind, he remembers the demoness saying it was impossible and tying him up. From there, a dark and purple energy appears at the tip of the creature's finger. She reveals that it's possible now because she stole Crankheit's virus for herself. But the demoness warns that they need to hurry because the virus continues to invade the cells. And so, the young man says there's only one option and unleashes his own energy. With that, a blue and red energy spreads throughout the flaming city. His power reaches the trapped infected and purifies them all at once. Tia is shocked and wonders how he knows the exact location of all of them. With the miasma stone in hand, he says he can do the same thing as Crankheit. The demoness breaks into a sweat with a smile of someone who is very impressed. She then says that he continues to exceed her expectations and reaches for the stone. From there, a shower of purple and blue energy falls over the entire city. With that, our MC extends his hand and controls the purifying power. With gritted teeth, he uses all his strength to guide the energy. Meanwhile, the soldiers begin to rescue the captured infected. Even trapped, the monsters continue to scream and struggle furiously. Seeing the young man's effort, Tia hugs him from behind and says she'll help him a little. Right after, her finger glows with a very intense and powerful pink energy. This way, the energy spreads and calms all the infected at once. Witnessing the scene, the soldiers are shocked to see that the monsters have stopped screaming. Completely exhausted, the young man says they did everything they could do. From a distance, a voice says that honestly, it's always him who ends up saving everyone. This was Tino, who congratulates him for working hard and calls him Mikadono. With a smile, the elite purifier replies that the same goes for the young man. Mockingly, Tia says he can thank them more, and he calls her by her name. From there, the demoness returns to her small form and floats beside him. With a shocked look, Tino stammers upon seeing the glowing miasma stone. Our MC says it's the miasma stone and that with it, they can research the cure. Even with victory in hand, our MC continues to have a sad expression. Seeing his reaction, Tino looks at him with a serious expression and asks why. From there, the elite purifier seems to have understood everything, and his look changes. He approaches and says he didn't see anything, leaving the young man completely confused. Clueless, our MC stands there, not knowing how to react to that. Given the situation, Tino says he'll ask again in a very serious tone. He then questions the young man's true reason for becoming a purifier. The question catches our MC off guard and makes him very tense at that moment. A memory of his sister Mayo appears in his mind with a smile on her face. With a determined look, he replies that it was to be able to cure her illness. With a smile, Tino tells him to go ahead with his noble and just goal. He tells the young man to go to his family who is waiting for him and doesn't hold back tears. Because of this, our MC bows in a gesture of pure respect and gratitude. With that, our MC shoots off with his dark energy, leaving Tino behind. The scene then takes us to the hospital, where the young man runs desperately down the hall. Without wasting time, he reaches the room door and throws it open, out of breath. Inside, his sister Maya looks at him with an expression of pure surprise on her face. The girl says with a smile that he startled her, appearing so suddenly. Witnessing the scene, our MC is relieved to see that she is safe and sound. Without a second thought, he runs and hugs her tightly, and the girl is shocked. With wide eyes, she doesn't understand her brother's sudden action. With a smile on his face, the young man shows how worried he was about her. Still hugging on the bed, the girl calls him by name, not understanding what's going on. He holds her even tighter, showing his relief at finding her well. After the hug, he sits on the edge of the bed to talk with her for a bit. He asks if she was watching the news, and the girl says that Tokyo is in trouble. From there, she looks at him worriedly and asks if he was fighting out there too. Desperately, she holds him and asks if he's okay, and the young man reassures her. With a smile, he says he took care of everything and that it's all completely fine now. Mayo, however, looks at him with a serious and suspicious expression for a moment. Even so, she says that's good, and our MC calls her name again. The girl is confused and doesn't understand what he means by that tone. From there, he shows her the miasma stone, and the girl says it's very beautiful. She asks if that's a miasma stone and what's wrong with it. With a determined look, he says he worked hard for it and shows a flashback. The girl's eyes go wide, unable to believe that the cure has finally arrived. With her hand on her face, she stammers the word cured, unable to believe the news. With a smile, he assures her that an expert confirmed the stone will work. From a distance, Tia wonders if the hexpert he mentioned is actually her. With tears in her eyes, Mio calls him by name and asks if they can live together again. A happy memory of the two of them cooking together appears in her mind, full of hope. With a smile, the young man confirms, but warns that they'll have to move to a bigger apartment. With tears of pure happiness, the girl smiles as the TV news continues to play. The TV news continues, reporting that the number of victims has already surpassed 10,000. In addition, hundreds of people suspected of infection are being contained. The scene then takes us to the front of a large house with a very imposing gate. Back in the room, the concern over the lack of miasma stones only grows each day. With this, Mayo asks if by any chance there are more of those miasma stones. She realizes herself that the number of stones is simply not enough. Given the situation, our MC grits his teeth with pure frustration on his face. With a shout, he assures his sister that she doesn't need to worry about that. He says that before being an ally of justice, he is her big brother. With tears in her eyes, Mio nods in agreement and says he's right. Elsewhere, little Tia seems to be thinking about something very important. His sister then looks at him and says that he is a true ally of justice after all. With a smile, she asks him not to use the miasma stone on her but on the others. The girl holds the stone firmly, showing her final decision on the matter. And so, she tells him to think of it as a selfish act on her part. A tear runs down our MC's face, who is very moved by her gesture. With that, he hugs his sister tightly as they both cry together in that moment. A happy memory of the two appears in a bubble, and the girl apologizes for everything. Crying, she says that her little sister is nothing but a big problem for him. He then replies that no matter what happens, she will always be his greatest pride. The scene then takes us outside the hospital during a dark and rainy night. Next, we see the imposing building of the Purifier Association's headquarters. Inside, a meeting with the association's bigwigs seems very tense at the moment. With a furious look, President Kuzuki orders them to repeat what they just said. At the door, Taino and Nagato prepare to give their official report to the chief. The elite purifier says that they both take responsibility and recommend Seiki Kaido. A photo of our MC is shown to everyone in the meeting room. Faced with the proposal, the president finds the whole thing simply ridiculous and unacceptable. In a report, he reads that instead of immunity, the young man coexists with a virus bearer. Tino apologizes for keeping the secret but warns that the bearer is not an enemy. An image shows our NC's union with the Demoness as the report is read. With that, Nagato states that the incident would not have been resolved without the young man and his partner. She continues, saying that their role was even more important than that of the elite purifiers. Faced with this statement, one of the association members agrees that the purifier is right. Tino then warns that in the future, attacks from even stronger bearers will occur. Because of this, if humanity doesn't unite around him, there will be no future for anyone. The president says he understands the point, but their pillar being a 6th class won't unite things. He adds that no matter how special Seiki-kun is, he couldn't surpass a 1st class. The president asks if they were at the scene, but Taino says it's not clear, and someone knocks on the door. "Excuse me?" Our MC enters the meeting room, surprising everyone there. One of the members becomes furious and yells that he's not allowed in there. The young man, however, ignores the guy and continues to walk to the center of the room. Without a word, he places the giant miasma stone on the meeting table. With wide eyes, one of the members stares at the stone, completely in shock. Another guy with glasses also can't believe it, and says there's no way that's possible. Our MC says that this is the bearer's stone and that he was late because he checked on his family first. Witnessing the scene, Taino is completely shocked and calls the young man by his first name. The president stares at the giant miasma stone with an expression of pure fury on his face. With gritted teeth, he says that if what the young man is saying is really true, the other association members whisper that if he brought a souvenir like that, then they have no choice but to accept the proposal the two made. The scene then takes us to 1 week after the bearer's attack in Shibuya. A reporter announces that the city's reconstruction is expected to take at least 10 years to complete. Because of this, the scars of the incident have deepened in the hearts of all citizens. Elsewhere, a guy coughs and seems very worried about the city's current situation. The thought that infected people could become violent causes distrust and suspicion among people. Upon seeing a woman in a mask, the guy panics and wonders if she's infected. The woman, however, doesn't understand and looks at him with a very confused expression. Without a second thought, the guy panics and yells that there's an infected person nearby. Hearing the shouts, everyone runs in desperation, and the woman is completely terrified. A student lets out a scream of pure terror upon seeing the masked woman near her. With that, the woman is hit in the head by a bag that someone threw forcefully. Next, a man yells for her to stay away and attacks her with a metal object. Terrified, the woman runs into the middle of the street, trying to escape the furious crowd. Suddenly, a truck's horn blares, and she realizes the danger surrounding her. The woman turns in desperation upon seeing the vehicle coming towards her at full speed. And so, a red and dark energy appears and saves her at the last second. Our MC holds her in his arms, saving her from the imminent danger. The red energy surrounds them, protecting the pair from what is about to happen. With that, the truck crashes, but the energy completely shields them from the impact. The crowd that was chasing her is completely shocked by the scene they witnessed. Seen from above, our MC stands in the middle of the street with the woman in his arms. With a smile, he asks if the young woman is okay after that scare. Completely exhausted, the woman confirms that she is, in a very weak and tired voice. He looks at her with a serious expression and asks how she's feeling at the moment. With a serious look, Tia confirms that the woman is not infected with the virus. Facing the crowd, the young man says he is a purifier and guarantees she is not sick. With this revelation, the guy who attacked her falls to the ground, completely shocked by the scene. And so a car pulls up and our MC takes the woman to a safe place. The driver calls him by his full name and says he's there to pick him up. He informs him that he will take him directly to the Purifier Association's headquarters. Our MC flashes a smile, and the woman looks at him, completely confused by everything. The scene then takes us back to the huge building of the association's headquarters. The sign on the door indicates that this is the office of the association's president. Inside, the president welcomes him and apologizes for calling him there. With a hologram, the president shows a satellite image to our MC. The image was taken by a satellite from another country and is circulating all over the internet. With a gesture, the president points to the image projected on the meeting table. He says the video is grainy, but that is definitely our MC. With a serious look, the young man confirms it, and the president continues to speak with him. The president's eyes go wide upon seeing the image in the hologram, and he lets out a cry of astonishment. Before him, the image shows our MC and the demoness, and the big boss asks if this is the bearer who coexists with him. With a serious look, the young man faces the president and confirms that the creature's name is Malaysia. He adds that she is a high-class bearer and that the two are now partners. Beside him, the demoness appears with a confident smile and a very satisfied look. With a smile of pure mockery, the president says that this is simply terrifying. Unfazed, the young man warns that they have no intention of going against the association. A memory of his past shows how much he suffered, and the reason for his determination. The president then asks if she is as strong as the bearer who attacked Shibuya Station. With a tense look, our MC warns that it will all depend on how the association acts. The president takes a sip of his drink and comments that the young man seems like a different person now. He explains that with the leaked video, many discussions have arisen about the young man's powers. Because of this, his promotion to first-class purifier is being heavily debated. Our MC is shocked and asks if this is true, even with Tino and Indato's recommendation. The president says it's understandable, as the destruction a bearer caused is still recent. Our MC asks if he's saying he should give up the promotion. With a serious look, the president replies that well, that's just how things are. Faced with this response, the demoness glares at him with a look of pure fury and discontent. From there, Tia appears behind the young man, who is completely shocked by her appearance. With a gesture, she points at our MC, who looks away, not knowing what to do. He says that honestly, he was never interested in being a first-class purifier. Suddenly, a dark portal appears in front of the association's headquarters. The device on the president's wrist starts beeping, and he is shocked by the alert. The meter shows a pollution factor of 8,771, and so he says, but suddenly the window behind him shatters completely. A giant creature with a red eye appears and glares at him with pure fury and hatred. With that, our MC transforms and readies his energy scythe for battle. In the distance, Teino Yusei watches the scene with a confident smile on his face. Elsewhere, Nagato takes care of Yagi, who remains unconscious in a hospital bed. Meanwhile, Hadokiyama smokes a cigarette and stares at his laptop with a very serious look. The memory of his sister Mio smiling is our MC's greatest motivation. With a confident smile, he faces the danger and yells that he will make everyone acknowledge them. The monster is hit by a powerful attack as our MC completes his sentence. He then yells that they are on the side of justice, showing his newfound conviction.